SaintLouis.com.
Our $79 garage door tune-up extended through April. Is your garage door old and whining for attention? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will make it all better. They'll perform their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $79, extended through April. That's just $79 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done once a year, so why not now? And for just $79. Schedule now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
Download the free Upside app and earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Download the free Upside app now and use promo code GIFT for an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. That's promo code GIFT.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Happy Tuesday, 12:07 here in St. Louis, and another nice spring day outside. We appreciate you being with us. There are a lot of things that are developing today, and we're going to be blessed in a little bit here to have Jim Carafano on the show at 105. I've been waiting to talk to him about the conflict in Israel right now. We await to see what Israel is going to do to respond to Iran, and I haven't seen his. Would you say that Joe Biden has given the explicit instructions to don't to Israel? I wouldn't say that he's gone that to that. Is that like a remember the what was the color coded terror?
Yeah.
What was that called?
Like red.
We went years.
Yes.
Where there was
like threat level, warning level.
Yes.
Yeah. And then it was like green, orange,
it's
yellow.
a green day. You're like, is this air quality or terror threats?
Yeah.
Hard to say. But we will talk to Jim Carafano about that. I have so many questions. I was listening to the news most of the morning, and I just have question after question after question to stack on top of it for Jim Carafano, so we'll get to as much as we possibly can at 105. The jury pool, I think they called 96 jurors in yesterday, and I think they dismissed all 96.
I didn't know if they dismissed all 96. I know at least more than 50 said that they couldn't be unbiased in it.
I think that was, of the 96 that they called,
yeah.
That was the 56, their reasons.
Yeah.
Did you see what Clay Travis
I did not see what he had to say.
Yesterday, I saw him on Jesse Waters, and Clay Travis tweeted out that the most patriotic thing that you could do if you're in that Manhattan area is get on that trial and cause a hung jury. And I was like, whoa.
Oh.
I'm like, well, but I mean, the idea that somebody is going to get on that jury and not be politically leaning one way or the other.
Right.
I mean, it's funny that like the fly in the ointment is one person in Manhattan that would get on that jury and be pro-Trump. Like, how dare they? Now you know how we feel about the other jurors that are likely going to be on this jury. I also saw a report that Donald Trump was like smirking, smiling at the jurors like he's trying to charm all of them. He probably is.
Yes. That's his default setting.
Charming?
I've seen, the attempt to be charming. He's a salesman.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, he's a salesman. And salesmen, like, if people buy stuff from people because they like the person they're buying it from.
Mm-hmm.
And
they trust him.
Yes. And so that's what he's trying to do. And, I would say a lot of those people in that jury room have never had a chance to see him.
How many people have we talked to personally, have we talked to on the air, who know Donald Trump personally that, I've heard this so many times since Donald Trump has been running for office, let alone the president and the former president, that he listens to people.
Mm-hmm.
He pays attention to people. When I don't know, there's a better word for nobodies like me. If there's somebody who goes to the White House when he was there to visit with him because they have a particular issue that they want to talk about, they get his attention.
Yes.
He cares about them. I have heard so many stories of quiet generosity that Donald Trump has shown people, not stuff that is publicized, but just his generosity, that it's incredibly consistent. I have never heard somebody who went to meet him for a particular purpose say something negative about him. Not a single time.
Mm-mm.
Not a real world person-to-person experience where Donald Trump, as the president, maybe a candidate, has the opportunity to spend time with somebody. They're all incredibly flattering about the way he handles himself and the respect that he gives the person in front of him. I think that says a lot. I saw this recently. It resurfaced. It's probably on Twitter or something. That one time where I think maybe it was a Medal of Honor ceremony or something. Was it for Barack Obama? It was at the White House, and Barack Obama was there, and Joe Biden was there, and Barack had a swarm of people around him. President Obama was the man of the hour, and Joe Biden was just like shuffling behind him, trying to get President Obama's attention. Couldn't do it. Obama is ignoring him, and I don't think that President Obama knew that it was President Biden. I looked at that and thought, I don't think that Obama is intentionally trying to upstage Biden, but it just showed how inadequate Joe Biden is and how good at this Barack Obama is.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is in the Barack Obama side. He goes into a Chick-fil-A in, what was that, Atlanta, Georgia. If you just watch the narrative-driven media on the left, you would not expect that event to look the way it looked. You would expect protesters outside the Chick-fil-A, because it's just like a Tuesday at Chick-fil-A, and, a diverse group of people shaking fists at Donald Trump, talking about how he's a racist, hateful bigot. And that was not the case.
No.
At a Chick-fil-A, the Lord's Chicken, and people hugging him saying, nobody believe what the media says here. Joe Biden's a disaster, or whatever it was that they put. Like, he needs to, everyone's saying this. I'm maybe the last person to say this on the air, but Donald Trump needs to just do that. Mm-hmm. He needs to be in court, and then he needs to go to an Arby's.
Yep.
And then he needs to go to a Subway.
Meet the lost or the forgotten voter.
Meet the voter, MEAT.
Annie's on it.
Yeah, see? Let's go. Let's get this done. How cheap would that be?
It'd be so cheap. It's great optics, because whenever you go back and you just look at the video, even without sound, the smiles on people's faces were genuine. The people behind the counter were beaming ear to ear. That's the president. This is cool. Look at this. They weren't mad at him.
You remember President Donald Trump, when he would walk out of the White House, like that side door, if he was getting on Marine One or something, the press pool would be out there, and he'd supposed to be going to the helicopter, but the press pool is over here to the left, and he'd walk out and he'd smile and he'd kind of give a little wave, and he'd look over to the press and he'd stick his arms out of his sleeves to make sure he was ready to go, put his hands together, rub them together. And there are videos of him going, all right, let's go.
Yeah.
And then he walks up to the press and they badger him with ridiculous questions. He didn't back down from that.
No.
You could do the same thing at retail locations. You want to talk about retail politics. You could go to these places and have these real conversations, and they're not all going to be people fawning over him the way it was at Chick-fil-A, I don't think that he should promote where he's going when he's going. He should just show up. And if he gets, it's like Vivek.
Yeah.
Vivek had lots of people who would come to Ramaswamy campaign events when he was running for president, and they'd be hardcore leftists who came in hot, angry at Vivek, not because of Vivek specifically, but because he represented the Republican Party and what they think conservative values mean. And Vivek would say, like that you'd have the general murmur among the crowd when this person comes in and starts shouting in the middle of a thing and, get him out of here, whatever. And Vivek would say, no, let's listen to what this person has to say.
Yeah.
I didn't see many of those where the conversation ended with the anger that it began with. He wasn't there changing people's minds, but he listened.
Mm-hmm.
Take a page out of that book, Donald Trump, and on a, like I said, a retail basis, go have these conversations and come what may. Talk to real people. Let them talk to you. Become accessible. Because everything that the Biden administration is trying to do to Donald Trump through lawfare is to keep him away from the people. Go be among the people. Go do stuff in New York City. Be present. Yesterday, we asked on the YouTube live chat poll, let me see if I remember this exactly. Has President Joe Biden done anything in his presidency that is a net positive, a net good? And I think it was 89% of you said no. Couldn't think of anything that on the whole was a net positive. We could think of a lot of things that on the surface sound good, but the actual execution of them hasn't. It's like, do you just want credit for like saying the right thing? Because in many cases, for the left and the right, that's what politics is.
Yeah.
Say the right things. Be on record as saying the right things. Get the soundbite out there. Get the clip out there, and then you're done. Because you can say, no, I've said this before, and I'll say this again. Yeah, but what are you doing? So I thought it would only be fair today that our YouTube live chat poll be, did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? So before the people who didn't listen to the show yesterday come on and like, Annie hates Trump. That's not true. I actually really appreciate and respect Donald Trump, and I look forward to him hopefully winning in November, along with my very important vote in the state of Illinois for Donald Trump.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's fair if we're going to ask one day, does Joe Biden do anything good? Like, give me something that he's done that is good. Tell me something that President Trump did during his presidency that you, in an objective observation of his presidency, think was a net failure. Because on the surface, I think the easiest and obvious one has to do with the vaccines and COVID. But when I think about that in long form, how was Donald Trump on COVID in long form? Because there were a lot of mistakes, in my opinion, that President Trump made. But I also remember very vividly in March, in April, probably even May, looking at what everybody in government was doing, the Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, the governor, and watching him have these conversations with the state of New York that they would cover, the press conferences live every day and taking that in. And I remember thinking, like, I appreciate the transparency of what's going on here. And these people have no frame of reference of what to do next. Mm-hmm. They're throwing the spaghetti at the wall. And it turns out, in Cuomo's case, he made a lot of deadly, terrible decisions that I don't really think, I could have missed it, and I would correct myself if I missed it. I don't think that he's come out and completely admitted his mistakes. Donald Trump has not admitted his mistakes. I do look at what everybody who was in a position to guide the nation and lead the nation during 2020, I do look at everybody and I do understand that the unprecedented nature of what we were dealing with means that people will make honest mistakes. And I think that the question of like, what is an honest mistake? And at what point are you refusing to admit that you were wrong and change course? And I look at states that never shut down. I look at Florida that said, forget this, we're opening up. They opened up in June, and I know that specifically because we decided that week that we were going to Florida to visit our family that was living in Jacksonville. We're just like, we're going. We'd never taken a road trip with little kids before. We were going to, not that far, but we were going to go, and we were going to do it because we needed to get out. It was right after school was officially over, and in my house, we had 3 kids that were in remote learning school, and my husband, who was supposed to be teaching his class, but he was also teaching our kids, and we were breaking at the seams with stress and anxiety, and everybody had the same experience. Everybody went through it together. I just look back at what Donald Trump did through COVID, and I know his mentality at the beginning was, let's be open for Easter. And people in the media were like aghast that he would even suggest, like, how dangerous was it that he would say such a thing. And he was talking about freely in front of the microphones because he would be willing to be the person who would answer the questions. People say it's like one of the most ignorant things that people can bring up to me about Donald Trump, because it's like, you clearly aren't listening to what he said, but you are incredibly emotionally invested in trying to prove that Donald Trump is something that you've been led to believe, and you haven't done the research to get past it. But the drinking bleach thing,
oh my gosh,
like, I honestly, if that's where you're headed with the conversation, the sooner you say that, the better, just so I know that's where we are.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk you out of it. I'm not going to steer you away from it, because if that's the number one talking point, it'd be interesting to see if that's already hit the live chat, because I haven't read the comments yet so far. One of the things that Donald Trump talked about was like, can we use light to combat the virus? Light is used in light therapy is used for things.
Well,
go ahead.
There is technology out there that they were exploring about introducing UV light internally into the lungs to be able to help disinfect the lungs from those viruses and stuff like that. It's probably something he heard in a briefing or something. Maybe he didn't quite understand it, but
nor does he need to understand it.
But mentioning it, if it's something that they're exploring, doesn't make him an idiot, and it's not the same thing as injecting bleach.
No. And he would, I think the phrase that he said, I don't know, I don't remember if he said specifically bleach, but he did say disinfectant.
Disinfectant.
And when you've already registered your opinion of Donald Trump, the way that I really kind of feel sorry for a lot of these people, because they were sold something and they just haven't been able to let it go. Like, they're emotionally attached to it and very sensitive to it. So I kind of feel bad for people who haven't been able to let that go. To listen to President Trump be up there and say, listen, we're trying everything. Like, I don't want him to be like, I heard someone say that maybe there's some sort of, you could call it a disinfectant. Like, isn't that what a vaccine would freaking be? Oh my gosh. Like, you could say the same word. A vaccine could be a disinfectant for your body from some sort of, I don't know, an invasive virus. Well, that's not what they want to hear. And that's fine, because if people don't want to open their minds and open their ears to listen, you're just probably not going to be the person who's going to make them change their mind. Something else is going to happen, or it's never going to happen. And I just have too many things to be grateful for and thankful for, and more time that I want to invest in talking to people who want to have actual discussions that maybe end up without agreement, but that you care about each other enough to have those conversations and still be able to move on. So I'm kind of rolling this around. I'm going to think of something else by the end of the show. Did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? Yes or no? I have one more thing. Do we have a guest coming up?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Some things in the hopper. I'll do this when we come back, unless we get a guest, if we end up booking this one. There's one other thing that I think on the whole, the net failure that I'm going to tell you when we come back about Donald Trump. And Brad, I want to get what you think about this as well. So come to the Annie Fry YouTube channel and vote. We're broadcasting live on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. Did you know you can also listen to the Annie Fry Show and all of 97.1 FM Talk anywhere you go and you have a phone signal or a cell signal by downloading the Odyssey app? It's super simple to do. You find 97.1 FM Talk. You can favorite it. You can favorite the Annie Fry Show. And you go on vacation, you're laying on the beach, and you want something nice, relaxing, and informative. I don't know if it's the Annie Fry Show, but we would still be there if you wanted to listen to us. Chris said to the poll, I said yes. I think the COVID stimulus and restrictions at the beginning was not good, but it was still new. So that's kind of where I am with it, Chris. There are a lot of things I do differently, certainly. Is it a net failure? I wonder. Let us know what you think. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Get my lantern, get my gun. Little heavy treat for the morning come.
Windowworld.com. That's a super simple one to remember, isn't it? I want you to make sure that when the time comes for you to just start the process, maybe you're not ready to invest in new windows for your house, but you're trying to feel like, okay, what ballpark are we talking about to replace the windows in my home? Windowworld.com is a great place to start that research. And if you want to talk to them and get yourself a free estimate, just give them a call at 314-993-1800. 314-993-1800. A reminder that when you purchase these high-quality replacement windows, they're going to come with a lifetime warranty, which means your investment is more than just getting rid of the dingy windows in your house, the drafty windows in your house that are letting all of that air that maybe right now you're paying to cool with the AC on out, seeping out through the cracks and the just dinginess of those windows. You're going to get new, nice quality windows in there, but they're going to come with a lifetime warranty in case there is glass breakage, you need parts replaced, and the labor that goes along with it. So it is a solid investment. You're going to get a lot for your dollar at Window World, and St. Louisans on both sides of the river have been investing in these windows because of the confidence that they have in the product and the service. 314-993-1800. Give them a call. Tell them the Annie Fry Show sent you. You can find them online as well. The windows that are simply the best for less at windowworld.com.
You know, most people never get to sit down with elected officials and ask them about the important issues. I'm Judge Mike Carter, and that's exactly why I host the news talk program Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter. My goal is to bring those who represent us closer to the people they serve. I ask the questions you would in a no-nonsense manner. That's why we've been able to interview so many top local, state, and federal officials, because as a judge, I offer an unbiased, one-on-one conversation that's hard to find elsewhere these days. Besides serving as judge, I have a journalism degree, which is how the name of the show, Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, evolved. You never know who we'll interview next, from Governor Parson to prosecutors, sports figures to Missouri business leaders. Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, airs on Fox and ABC. You can also watch our past shows at MikeCarter.com, where we ask the questions and let you be the judge.
If you'd like to see more of Judge Mike Carter's interviews on his program, Justice and Journalism, visit MikeCarter.com. That's MikeCarter.com.
Listen, you've been making house payments for years, right? And right now, your home's value has never been higher, right? That means you're likely sitting on a small fortune in equity. Good for you. That's cash that you could use to help secure your retirement, solve all your financial burdens, enable you to travel, everything you want. The catch is, you're not ready to move. No problem. You don't have to with the TrueHold Sell and Stay Leaseback program. This is a genius financial strategy. You sell your home to TrueHold while its value is high. You bank all that equity in cash now, and you can stay as long as you like with an easy, affordable lease. And TrueHold pays property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. TrueHold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a TrueHold offer now while your home's value is sky high. Call 1-855-300-9993. That's 1-855-300-9993. Or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out without moving out. TrueHold.com.
This time of year again, where we all should be, not everybody, we should all be calling our companies and making sure our air conditioners are in running order, and do the best you can to make sure that they don't break down this summer. It's only $89 if you call us to have us do it. But let's just say that you've had that done and a company says you need a new system. Sucks, but without a question, get another opinion, get another price. I can promise you, without a question, if you call me for a second opinion based on what my customers say for the second opinion, you'll be happy you did. Call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. Missouri and Illinois. Or on the internet, bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is hiring licensed journeymen. Don't have a journeyman license? Air Comfort Service will help you get it. Get guaranteed hours year-round and more. Apply online at aircomfortservice.com.
Are you a business owner? Do you want your voice and the voices of your clients represented? Let us do the talking. Join our community of free thinkers on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Learn more at 971talk.com/partner. This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Man, this is one of those songs that takes me squarely back to about 7th grade. I feel it in my bones. Every once in a while you have songs that just take you back to being a kid. They played this song a lot, and it was one of the few that I never got sick of.
Do you remember the radio station 104.1 Alice?
Yes, you bet I do. I remember it being on my radio a lot. I don't think it lasted very long.
No, but
Hot 104.1 is really happy about that.
My sister loved that station.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of The River.
Mm-hmm.
That was maybe my favorite station that ever existed. Like, there's the idea that they played the music. I liked all the music. A lot of times, especially with pop, there'd be stuff that would sneak in that I'm not. And country music, I've always really liked country music, but there have been ins and outs of country that they're not for me. They're definitely for people because they're very successful. But that one, I do. And if I was going to cite a radio station that I listened to that song on, it would have been Alice, for sure. Welcome back to the show. The YouTube live chat poll for today is, did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency, yes or no? So yes, I'm asking you to come vote on the poll on our YouTube channel, but I'm also asking you for a criticism of President Trump. And I think that there are a lot of people on the left who would assume that people who are going to vote for Donald Trump don't think that the man could ever have done anything wrong, which is absolutely ridiculous because nobody is perfect. And I think it's pretty simple to be able to identify that. But I was saying before the break that there's one thing that I think ended up being a net failure for Donald Trump, and I'm going to get to it here in just a second. Brad is, I think, setting up a guest.
I am.
What time? 1:25?
Yeah.
Okay. Who?
Mark Lutter.
Mark Lutter. Okay. We had the fishing line out, and we were waiting to hear back from them. Mark Lutter at 1:25. Yes.
The rod tip was bouncing a little bit as the show started.
Yes. So. Let me ask you this, too, though, after you get done sending that text message, Brad. But when it comes to President Trump doing anything that was a net failure, when I sent this question to you, was there anything that pinged immediately? Like, that's the one I'm going with?
The initial thing that pinged in my brain was the 2 weeks to slow the spread. I think that ended up being a net failure. But that one's pretty easy.
15 days to slow the spread?
15. Yeah, whatever it was, 15 days to slow. And then
the
bulldozer one where you smash the wave out and you still have the same number of infections, but you don't peak, and that keeps the hospitals from getting overwhelmed.
Yeah, what was it? The curve. Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, slow the curve or something
Flatten
like that.
the curve.
Flatten the curve. I think I blocked that out of my memory.
Yeah. That was the initial thing that popped in my head. But like I said, that's the one that everybody's going to pick. I think you can unequivocally go back and look and say that the handling of the COVID pandemic has been a net failure, and it's a net failure across the board. It wasn't specific to Donald Trump, but because he was the guy in charge.
He's the buck stopper.
He's the one that gets it. But man, another one that popped into my head was the deal to build the wall.
Ooh, we just had somebody at the break, Rockin' 24, said didn't get the wall finished.
Yes. He had the opportunity to trade, what was it? The Dreamers Deferred DACA. He had the opportunity to trade DACA for it was something like 800,000 Dreamers.
Isn't this what John McCain killed?
I thought John McCain killed the Obamacare thing.
I don't know.
Because he just kind of went up and threw his thumb down.
Yeah, he did.
But Donald Trump was a no on trading DACA for the funding to build the wall.
I remember that there was, in my opinion, I know that a lot of people would disagree with it, but on the right, there was a window of opportunity there that I thought, man, people just got stubborn at the wrong time.
Some people don't like his Supreme Court picks. I think they've done a pretty good job.
Libs.
Yeah. But I've heard some people on the right like, see, they're fake, they're wishy-washy, they're squish. And it's like, no, stop.
They're adhering to the Constitution, not a conservative principle.
Which is what I want from my justices.
And not what the liberals do.
Right. And the last thing that I came up with, and I hope I don't scoop you on this, was
I asked you knowing that you could scoop me.
Georgia.
No.
And whenever he commented on the Georgia elections during the runoff for the senators, he cost the Senate.
Yeah.
And that ended up costing us a lot of pain and suffering under Joe Biden because more spending went into effect because he was able to do all of that. So
my one that would have me vote yes definitively on this poll is the question is, did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? Yes or no? The reason I would say yes is his appointing of people to serve in his cabinet, to serve in his circle. And I think it was a net failure because I think a lot of the problems, we needed an attorney general. The Jeff Sessions thing was the biggest
that was a bomb.
First domino that ended up, that was a Senate seat that went blue. And Jeff Sessions was maybe the worst attorney general we've ever had in this country. Is that a broad statement? Yes. It's ignorantly broad, honestly. But Donald Trump did not surround himself with good, helpful people in the time and moments that he needed to. Now, with that being said, and again, I remind people, if you're just tuning in right now and you're like, why is Andy talking about the failures of the Trump presidency? Yesterday, our YouTube live chat poll was, has Joe Biden done anything that is a net good in his presidency? And 89% of you said no. And I thought it would be fair and balanced here on the Andy Fry Show for us to ask kind of the converse of that question and ask the same people, in theory, the converse of Joe Biden bad, Donald Trump good. Well, let's question both of those theses and see what you all have to say. Everything, in my opinion, that is being listed that Donald Trump failed on, I really think that a second term he would do differently. And I would say that in the time that he has not been in office, and this is why I'm really looking forward to talking to Mark Lutter at 125, there are distinct failures of the first 4 years that Donald Trump had in office that I think are in large part due to the fact that Donald Trump was an outsider. He wasn't of the swamp. He didn't know how to use the swamp to his advantage, and he wasn't willing to use the swamp to his advantage. That worked against him, but I think that he has sown the seeds of success that could come in the next 4 years. And honestly, it's kind of a thought experiment for you to engage in and tell me maybe how, I don't know, some of you are telling me how ignorant I am on the YouTube chat. Some of you are agreeing. I can handle both. But the 4 years that could potentially exist in between Donald Trump's first term and his second term, Brad, would you agree that these 4 years have laid out a crystal clear focus and given him the actual time to implement, with the American people's support, the changes to truly make America great again for some time that would not have existed without the suffering that we've had to go through in these 4 years?
Right. I think it's given the Americans a view of what can be better and what was done poorly. I think that gives him the time to say, okay, this is how we fix it, and how do we take that fix, that the way that I fix it, and make that stick? Because the problem with some of the other problems that he did was he did a lot through executive order, and an executive order put in place is an executive order easily removed by the next administration. What he needs to do is have some of these policies that he's got placed into law so that whenever they're passed, then you have to pass another law to repeal it. And people won't react, won't have a knee-jerk reaction to them. Because that was my memory of the Biden administration's first 90 days or whatever. It was like everything Trump bad, let's make it go away. Yeah, Trump bad.
Yeah.
Delete it.
Opposite. Uno reverse.
Yeah. And it is the stupidest policy because everything Trump wasn't bad. And if he would have left some of those stuff in place, Joe Biden could have just stood in front of the parade and acted like he was leading it instead of like, no, got a virtue signal, got to get rid of Trump. And he drove the country into the ground just to say Donald Trump is bad and we're not going to do it his way because it's bad because he did it.
You ever watch Patrick Bet-David's podcast, PBD?
I try to.
He had Stephen A. Smith on a couple weeks ago. Now, where in your mind, Stephen A. Smith, ESPN sportscaster, also has a podcast, which I think is with Odyssey?
Yeah, he does have one on Odyssey.
Get him on the show.
I'll see what I can do.
First, get Mark Lauder, then get Stephen A. Smith.
Mark Lauder set up.
Okay, in the 2 o'clock hour.
Yeah, in the 2 o'clock hour.
Yeah.
1 o'clock hour.
No, Stephen A. Smith in the 2 o'clock hour.
Oh, it's Stephen A. Smith in 2. I'll
Brad's
get on
gonna
that.
quit right now. Stephen A. Smith was on with Patrick Bet-David. Where in your mind, if you're thinking Stephen A. Smith, put him on the map politically?
Left, but to the right of Obama.
Okay. Where is he at on Trump?
He is left of Trump.
But I mean, like in his...
I think that he is... I think that he doesn't like Trump the person, but I think he might be turning to like Trump the policy.
The Patrick Bet-David interview with him, and I watched 22 minutes of it, and then this is the real story. I couldn't finish it because Molly crawled on my lap and said the only way I could keep watching the show is if I was mommy chicken and I had to cluck. I was sitting here thinking, like, nobody would believe that this is true. She's like, you're mommy chicken, and it's Jared's dad's fault. He taught her how to be a chicken. She loves to do it. And she flaps her wings and she sticks her neck out and she walks around like kind of slow and then she attacks. But she just came up and she was sitting on my lap and she was going, bok, 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 bok. Mommy chicken, be mommy chicken. So I was like trying to listen to Stephen A. Smith talk to Patrick Bet-David, because if Stephen A. Smith is even remotely in play, hugely impactful.
Yes.
Hugely impactful. And I know a lot of you are like, who cares what Stephen A. Smith thinks? Maybe you don't, but people do.
The people that you want to vote for Trump do.
So I'm watching. I'm listening. Bok, 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 bok. Mommy chicken. Be mommy chicken. Mommy chicken. Be mommy chicken. Okay. And I'm sitting here going, bok, 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 bok. I'm trying to be bad mommy chicken. So she's like, this sucks. I quit. Nope. So I had to turn off. I didn't hear the very end of the clip that was on YouTube. That is a real, true story. And I had mom guilt that I wasn't giving enough attention. Like, I'm always going, at what point do I draw the line? Like, how much am I supposed to commit to mommy chicken for my daughter when I'm trying to watch TV that has to do with work, but I'm at home in the evening? What master do I serve here? Which is why I was going, bok, 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 bok. It's like I'm barely participating, but I am participating. Stephen A. Smith is on there talking about how this is what a lot of people say about Donald Trump. And I don't think that the people who all say this are not voting for Donald Trump. He just can't get out of his own way. He can't keep his mouth shut. He's too sensitive. He's too emotional. I'm continuing to ask these people, when's the last time he said something that made you go, what are you doing? What are you talking about? When was the last time? Because he has done that. He goes on Truth Social and he does type some things out. He is aggressive there. When was the last time he went out and just totally blew it? I can't really remember the last time that he's done that. The closest thing I would get to saying that is an unforced error after he won New Hampshire and Nikki Haley hadn't dropped out yet, and Nikki Haley came out again and really celebrated second place.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm going, what is Nikki Haley doing?
Yeah, what are you doing?
And Donald Trump doesn't suffer fools.
No.
So he says stuff about it. So that's part of who he is. And I don't really love the way he does it. But I mean, like, stop for a second. Just pause for a second. If you're in that camp, like, I just can't stand the way he behaves. Is it worth 4 more years of Joe Biden? It's not.
No.
It isn't. And I mean, like, when Donald Trump runs his mouth a little bit, which I'm really emphasizing, I have not seen him do that lately. I feel like he's more restrained, or maybe he's just not in front of cameras as much because the Democrats put him in a courtroom. Do you hear how Joe Biden talks about people? He'll be threatening in the way he talks.
Yeah.
And it's like, you don't even know if he's got the wits about him to really understand what he's doing and saying. These are your options. Is that thing about Donald Trump that rubs you the wrong way really worth 4 more years of Kamala Harris? Because did you just choke?
That was a
just a shudder went down the spine, which is different than the tingle that goes up. Is it Chris Matthews' leg? It's not worth it. And I mean, like, we can't be that sensitive because it's not about Donald Trump and how he makes me feel. It's what Donald Trump does for this country. It's what Joe Biden does for this country or to this country, because that's what matters for my children. That's where my attention is. That's where my focus is. I'm not giving Donald Trump the opportunity to hurt my feelings. I don't care about that. Fix the country. Joe Biden, by all means, you've got some time left in the first term. Fix it now. Close the freaking border. Stop working your way into our homes and telling us where we can make our mac and cheese on a electric stove versus a gas stove, or what car we need to drive, or telling us one thing about our support for Israel and doing another. Get your act together. I mean, you still have time to do it. You still have time to earn people's support as opposed to just relying on people's hate for Donald Trump. Don't be so sensitive to be like, oh, he just rubs some people the wrong way. Yeah, but it's not like the other guy doesn't. Mm-hmm. And there's so much at stake. Let us know in the YouTube live chat poll. Did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? Yes or no? A lot of people who like to criticize Donald Trump, and anybody who supports him, who we talk to on a daily basis, would say you would never criticize your Lord and Savior, Donald Trump. And I always say I have a savior. I would like a better president, though. All right, let's take a quick break. Go vote. Leave us a comment. Ryan Wiggins and Wiggins America in just a minute. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Pest Control, point with an E, of course, pointpestcontrol.com. If you are looking for the sanity back in your home because you don't want to see the bugs that have infiltrated ants. Have you seen ants yet this spring? A lot of times they work their way into homes around this time. Also, mosquitoes. April, it's very much so a time where mosquitoes start to set in. There's nothing like your first mosquito bite and you're like, this part thing again. Point Pest Control can help you with those. They can help you work through getting rid of those so you don't have to deal with them at your home, and giving you the peace of mind that you're going to have a bug-free house or workplace. I can tell you there are a lot of people who commercially have hired Point Pest Control. These are businesses that you absolutely know. I'm not going to put them in here because I didn't ask each one of them if I could. But commercially, if you're looking for pest control, Point Pest Control is it. Residentially, I say, as a customer myself, 100% encourage you to check out what they can do for you. And when you call them and schedule some sort of appointment and you mention my name, you're going to save 10% off any specials that they have on top of it just by mentioning Annie. I trust Point Pest Control in my home and around my home for a quarterly service that they provide me, and we are bug-free, and it wouldn't be the case if it weren't for Point. You can call them at 636-798-0023 or find them online at pointpestcontrol.com.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions, and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
Judge Mike Carter here to talk to you about my news talk program, Justice and Journalism with Judge Mike Carter. People ask, why is a judge a host of a news talk show? As a judge, I'm the neutral party that seeks to learn the truth and bring you the facts. Somewhere along the line, news shows lost that objectivity. Growing up, I can remember watching Walter Cronkite and knowing you could believe he didn't have a hidden agenda. Before I received my law degree and later became an elected judge for the past decade, I earned a master's degree in journalism at Mizzou, the very same journalism school Walter Cronkite attended. I was given a real appreciation appreciation for getting to the truth both as a judge and a journalist. Hence the name of my show, Justice in Journalism, with me, Judge Mike Carter. Here I focus on local newsmakers, personalities, and Missouri officials like Governor Parson, Lieutenant Governor Kehoe, Secretary of State Ashcroft, Attorney General Bailey, and many more. Justice in Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, airs on Fox and ABC. You can also watch our past shows at MikeCarter.com, where we ask the questions and let you be the judge.
If you'd like to see more of Judge Mike Carter's interviews on his program, Justice in Journalism, visit MikeCarter.com.
Hi, Chad Hansen with Hansen's Tree Service. Spring is a great time for tree maintenance and removal. At Hansen's Tree Service, we have a full staff of certified arborists that can help you with everything you need when it comes to tree care. Get ahead of spring storms and check us out at hansenstree.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-699-1059. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-699-1059. That's 800-699-1059. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Yesterday, it was all about the net positives, were there any, from the Biden administration thus far. Today, it's did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? Yes or no, let us know. And of course, leave a comment as to what you think was or wasn't a net failure. YouTube live chat poll of the day, that's it. You type in Annie Fry on YouTube and it'll come up and you can leave a comment. 12:51, this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
For 20 years, the Patriot Trading Foundation's been serving those who serve our nation. Don't miss the Patriot Trading Foundation's second annual Michael Collins Memorial Freedom Blast, Friday, April 19th. Learn more at 971talk.com/care.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Wiggins!
Oh, Wiggins!
What I have for you today is America by the numbers. Random things that are shaping the way that we live and maybe trends in the direction or towards something that's good or bad. You can be the judge. The first one is that 20% of U.S. adults say they do not have a primary care physician any longer. The data suggests that the older you are, the more likely you are to have a primary care physician, whereas the younger you are, the more likely you are to just see specialists. Is this something that you think is maybe going to be the way of the dinosaur at some point, that people don't have primary care physicians anymore?
I don't have a primary care.
You don't?
No.
And you're at the younger end of our spectrum, of course. So.
Yeah, but you haven't had probably, you do have some, you have seizures, so I imagine that you have somebody who you see for that.
Yeah, a neurologist, but that's once a year.
I don't think that the idea that people have, since people aren't having them as much as they used to, this, in my opinion, is 100% the fault of the insurance agency. And, you know, when you create a scenario where every American is forced to have insurance, you take away the insurance's obligation to compete for customers, because eventually everybody's going to have to participate in one way or another anyway. If we had more competition in our insurance companies and being able to compete across state lines and, I don't know, the benefit of detaching insurance from your employer and so on and so forth, then I think people would be more interested and invested in their own health. There are few things that are more frustrating than fighting with insurance companies. We all have our own experiences of doing that. But I'm hearing story after story after story of people who are the provider that they go to has dropped their insurance carrier because the insurance carrier only pays themselves. They don't pay the providers jack. you're paying an enormous amount for your medical care, and then the people who are caring for your life and your health are not getting much out of that because the insurance companies are sucking it all in. It reminds me, it's very similar in a lot of ways to the higher education scam of the government coming in and saying they'll loan everybody money for whatever it is that they want to study. So the colleges and the universities, they all get paid and they can raise their rates and the loans keep coming. So the university gets their money, the student gets their education, and now the government wants to say, oh, and forget about that loan. So the universities get to have these students for 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, whatever it might be, educate them in any way that they want to, and then get those loans completely forgiven. So the American people get screwed there, and the American people get screwed with the health system as well. And you can, I mean, it's just, I can't imagine how many people don't get the care that they need because they just don't want to deal with the insurance companies.
And I would love to know, too, if this is an issue anywhere else. I know on our side of the river, my primary care physician does not accept new patients. And there are a lot of people I see in Facebook connection groups saying, hey, does anybody have a primary care physician that I could see? Because there's so few of them. I think that's related to insurance.
Mm-hmm.
But I would love to know, get on the YouTube chat and let us know if that's a problem where you are, too. Because I was just curious whether that was just an Illinois thing or just a Metro East thing or if that's everywhere. The next one is 88% of workers have sent an email they regret. Have you ever sent an email that you regret? 28% even believe that an email they've sent directly hurt their careers. Now, it's not always subject matter wise. Sometimes it's that you misspelled something that was stupid or whatever. But does anybody want to fess up to sending an email?
Yeah, but it was just a reply all, and I so despise reply alls, and I hit a reply all instead of sending a reply.
Shame!
I know.
Shame!
I'm so embarrassed by that.
Yes.
I hate the reply all. There's a few things I hate more than that. I hate a lot of things. Insurance companies and reply alls.
Was it an embarrassing message or was it just an accidental?
It was for the Odysseys. I said I will be there. So I just clicked reply all, I'll be there. Because they were like...
You wanted to let everybody know.
Yeah, that is not it. I wanted to let the person that was asking
And then you
know.
got to struggle with, do I reply all to everybody and apologize for the reply all that
Nope,
I just sent?
just let it die.
Yeah.
Let
just
it die.
Shame. The reply all is the worst.
I once sent a message to a large group of people that was highly personal about the girl I was dating.
Oh, my God.
Now, that girl ended up being my wife, so that's okay. But at the time, it was very embarrassing to share that kind of personal information.
Jim Carafano coming up on the show right after the break. We're going to talk to him about everything Israel, along with Mark Lutter and the campaign situation at 1:25. We'll be right back.
Counselors is where we go when the police hassle us. Go to 45bucks.com.
This is Mike Carter, founder of 45bucks.com, or as you know it, Traffic Law Counselors. And right now, around tax time, we know folks are taking care of issues that they may have been putting off for a while. Maybe a driving while suspended or a warrant, things that you may have been worrying about for a little while. And we specialize in keeping folks' records clean. They come to us on a Monday, they can't drive, and by the end of that week on a Friday, we've got them back in the driver's seat driving legally. And that's very gratifying. And God forbid you're wrestling with something like a DWI, you can go to DWISTL.com. We got 10 paralegals and attorneys that are working on those cases nonstop and depositions, trials, hearings, and we can put that to work for you as well. In fact, it's the enduring success of Traffic Law Counselors that has enabled us to be the preeminent DWI attorneys in St. Louis at DWISTL.com. So now you know, if you have a traffic matter, it's 45bucks.com. If you've got a DWI issue, it's DWISTL.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Well, if you have rentals, I would love to save you time and money. I, too, have rentals. Remember, Ryan Wiggins, hello, by the way. Rapid Rental Renovations with Sean and Kristen is a terrific company because they can coordinate everything for you. And if you're like, yeah, but I've had that before, and they come in and they want to give me marble countertops and all this stuff. No. This is for rentals. So they know exactly the business that you're in. I actually had them come out to my new rental that I purchased this morning and had them just walk through. And I said, you know what? I know I need new floors. I need some paint. And then they started marking up some things that they said, this is going to get you on code and stuff. And I was like, oh, yeah. Mark that up too and give me a bid on all of it. They are going to save you so much time. It is so nice to have just one source doing that for you. So if you have rentals, here's the website to visit: murphycleanoutservices.com. You can see everything that they do there, which is basically everything. murphycleanoutservices.com.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends at Triton Exteriors. If you're younger than me, you may not have ever really experienced truly great customer service. You will with Triton Exteriors. We're a James Hardy siding company. We have a huge color selection. We do fences. We do pretty much everything on the exteriors. We have a great reputation. We have tons, 800 positive online reviews with Angie's List. Great with the BBB. Call 314-717-1159 or book online at triton-stl.com.
If you own a business or you're in management, you know there aren't enough hours in the day to keep up on the latest trends, learn about new products that can help you sell more, and network face-to-face. Well, here's the good news. You can do all of these things in one afternoon at the St. Louis Business Expo. On Tuesday, May 7th at the St. Charles Convention Center, why don't you come meet some people who could help your business grow and get caught up on the latest in marketing, tech, and more. Now, you have to RSVP to attend this free event, so just do that right now at stlexpo.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A new strategy on Capitol Hill. Lisa Brady, Fox News. With more aid to Israel and Ukraine still in limbo, the White House isn't ruling out support for House Speaker Mike Johnson's plan to break up a Senate foreign aid package into several standalone bills.
It does appear at first blush that the Speaker's proposals will, in fact, help us get aid to Ukraine, aid to Israel, and needed resources to the Indo-Pacific.
Though National Security Communications Advisor John Kirby also says the White House needs to see more detail about the new proposal. This as the Speaker faces more pushback. Johnson's recent meeting with former President Trump not staving off efforts to oust him as another Republican jumps on board.
It is, in my view, an absurd notion that someone would bring a vacate motion. We are simply here trying to do our job.
Johnson telling reporters he's not resigning after Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie signed on as a co-sponsor to Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene's effort to potentially oust Johnson as Speaker over his handling of spending issues and conservative priorities. The U.S. Supreme Court hears arguments over a Capitol riot defendant's challenge to his conviction, a case that could force the special counsel to drop some charges against former President Trump.
An attorney for one defendant charged with obstructing an official proceeding during the Capitol riots says there are plenty of federal laws to prosecute conduct that day.
A Sarbanes-Oxley-based, Enron-driven evidence tampering statute is not one of them.
Attorney Jeffrey Green says the obstructing statute being used by prosecutors was intended to prevent cover-ups of accounting-related crimes. Conservative justices questioned how far obstructing an official proceeding extends, asking if hecklers at the Supreme Court could be charged with federal felonies.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. No jurors chosen yet on day 2 of the former president's New York trial over hush money-related charges. Many of the potential jurors dismissed so far said they can't be impartial. America is listening to Fox News.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Angie's List is now Angie, and we've heard a lot of theories about why.
I thought it was an eco move. Fewer words, less paper.
No, it was so you could say it faster.
No, it's to be more iconic.
Must be a tech thing. But those aren't quite right. It's because now you can compare upfront prices, book a service instantly, and even get your project handled from start to finish.
Sounds easy.
It is, and it makes us so much more than just a list. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
A very windy and warm afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine, and still expecting at least some scattered showers and thunderstorms after about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. A couple of them could go strong to severe, but the widespread severe weather outbreak is to our north and to our northeast. Scattered evening showers and thunderstorms should all be gone by about 9 o'clock. That's 65 Wednesday, sunny skies. Still windy, 78. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Heading you stopped by STS Armory in Pontoon Beach yet? This is my destination for all my purchases, firearms, ammunition, safes, accessories, even some kind of like preparation things. I'll say that in that particular way. When you go to STS Armory, they're going to be able to connect you with what you need. And when you have questions, if you're not really understanding what the current laws are on any particular type of firearm or magazine capacity, so on and so forth, STS Armory is going to help you make sure that you are, of course, compliant, but also understand what the current situation is and how it could possibly change in the future. 618-931-GUNS. 618-931-GUNS. Located on South Drive in Pontoon Beach. Incredibly simple to get to at the corner of Highway 111 and South Drive. They also have classes. I want to highly encourage you to check out their conceal and carry classes, their beginner classes. If you've never fired a firearm before, you can get the education you need. You can start the process from square one. But if you are a well-versed, capable, studied Second Amendment supporter and user, you're going to be able to find what you need at STS Armory, and you're going to be part of the family there as well. 618-931-GUNS, online at sts-armory.com.
Hi, I'm Libby, and I'm a patient at Cardinal Clinic. With your help, Homers for Health can make a huge impact on my hospital. From new spaces to new treatments, a difference is being made for patients every single day. Glenn and kids like me owe everything to people like you. Please make your pledge for patients today at homersforhealth.org. Thank you so much for your support. Again, that's homersforhealth.org.
You know, most people never get to sit down with elected officials and ask them about the important issues. I'm Judge Mike Carter, and that's exactly why I host the news talk program Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter. My goal is to bring those who represent us closer to the people they serve. I ask the questions you would in a no-nonsense manner. That's why we've been able to interview so many top local, state, and federal officials, because as a judge, I offer an unbiased, one-on-one conversation that's hard to find elsewhere these days. Besides serving as judge, I have a journalism degree, which is how the name of the show, Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, evolved. You never know who we'll interview next, from Governor Parson to prosecutors, sports figures to Missouri business leaders. Justice and Journalism with me, Judge Mike Carter, airs on Fox and ABC. You can also watch our past shows at MikeCarter.com, where we ask the questions and let you be the judge.
If you'd like to see more of Judge Mike Carter's interviews on his program, Justice and Journalism, visit MikeCarter.com. That's MikeCarter.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com. Aerosmith is coming back to St. Louis on October 14th, and we want to send you for free just by listening to us. It's Mark Reardon. Listen all this week for your chance to win tickets to the Aerosmith Peace Out Farewell Tour with the Black Crowes.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what you're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Certainly any Israeli airstrike on Iran, Iranian territory, would not be a limited one. That would be something that would be likely to provoke further Iranian retaliation and escalation. But there are certainly other things that Israel can do, including cyber attacks, including attacks on Iranian targets in Lebanon or Syria or even Iraq. So it's really hard to know. But I would hope that the Israelis would do just what Alex was talking about and take the win without having a need to lash out at Iran, because that could easily draw the entire region into a wider war, and that could draw the U.S. into a wider war, which is the last thing that the Biden administration wants.
Well, there's Washington Post's Max Boot on his recommendations for Israel's restraint that he is asking. It's kind of amazing to watch since October 7th, and probably before that when all eyes weren't watching Israel's actions. A lot of people managing their expectations on how Israel should show restraint. I've been waiting all weekend to talk to Jim Carafano about his position here on this issue. As we have seen, Iran's attack on Israel, was it successful? They said it was successful. It didn't appear to be successful, but I guess we might be measuring success differently. Let's talk to Jim Carafano, the senior counselor to the president and E.W. Richardson Fellow for International Engagement at the Heritage Foundation. Jim, it's great to have you here. I'm going to shut up and let you tell us what you think.
Yeah, sure. There's so much to unpack here. First of all, I don't know what Israel is going to do. Actually, in the last 24 hours, I've been talking to a lot of people who talk to the Israelis, and nobody knows. And Netanyahu's not really talking to any foreign leaders. So my guess is anybody who tells you what they're going to do other than who isn't named Netanyahu is just guessing. So I don't know. I can tell you, the range of issues that they'd have to think through before they decide what they would do, or I can tell you what I think they should do. So which one do you want to hear?
I want to know what you think they should do.
Well, first of all, I'm not the restraint guy. This is a part of the world where honor is power. You're respected if you can show you can beat the hell out of your enemies, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea that we should show restraint that's nuts. And the Israelis don't do that. The Israelis do payback. Now, having said that, the Israelis have been pretty strategic about this. They just don't do tit for tat. They strike back when there's strategic benefit for them to do that. So if they don't pounce on something tomorrow, it doesn't mean they're afraid to strike the Iranians. It's just things that maybe that for them the timing isn't right. Honestly, I think Gaza is a 50-meter target. Retaliating against Iran can wait. Deterrence has already failed in the region. They're not afraid of attacking Israel. They're not afraid of attacking the U.S. You're not going to restore deterrence. So warning them. But Gaza is a problem that they got to deal with. Mm-hmm. And matter of fact, I think the Iranians in part did this because they want to distract the Israelis from trying to finish in Gaza. And they should finish the job in Gaza before they do anything else. That would be my advice.
Jim Carafano with us right now with the Heritage Foundation. In the midst of all of this, Iran is it right if I'm understanding that Iran has been involved since day one? Is Iran involved in Gaza and Hamas and all of this that has been pressured upon Israel?
Right. Yep. Iran and China's been backing Iran and Hezbollah. This is a global, and you have to remember in all of this, right? This would have never happened. You know me, I'm not partisan, but Biden flooded the Iranians with cash. In turns, the Iranians ran wild. Now Biden is afraid to really do anything because he doesn't want to work, before the election. And more importantly, he doesn't want price to spike before the election. So he really doesn't want to do anything. And the Iranians know that. And it's the get out of jail free card. So Iran and Venezuela and Russia, which are America's enemy, they are pumping more than ever. And Joe Biden is doing nothing to stop them for the simple reason that he doesn't want the price of oil to go up while he's running for re-election. So this is a president who has self-deterred himself from aggressively dealing with the Iranians, and they know that at very least they have between now and January to run wild. Man. And they're taking advantage of it.
I look at the political landscape that has contributed to the global landscape and conflict in the Middle East, and I think about the steady march that we've seen in our political left. The Democrats and how you've seen people like the Squad and Rashida Tlaib, right. And there's this bubbling up of anger that's manifesting itself over years and years. This is not just yesterday on the Golden Gate Bridge in Manhattan of this sentiment towards Palestine. But I had a message sent to me yesterday that was very wise. That it doesn't seem like these protests are as much about being pro-Palestinian as they are about hating America. And we've seen that reflected in people who have been elected to Congress, maybe to the presidency, that there is a hatred that exists for America, and it is manifesting itself locally. And it feels as though it's had to have contributed to what's going on globally.
This is not a civil rights movement. This is not a bunch of kids saying, let's go down and sit at the luncheon counter in Woolworths and get arrested. This is a well-funded global movement, and think of the old Macbeth thing with the witches. So you have a witch's cauldron, and what you're throwing into it is money and influence from places like China and Russia and Iran to diminish and destroy the United States. People who are bought into the whole Marxist ideology about transforming this country, people who live in this country and are elected to office and they hate this country and they want to diminish it. All these things are going on at the same time. And, so one which is Russia, China, and Iran, one which is the Marxists, and one which is the people that hate this country. And the concert for a common end. This is all about destroying America as part of destroying Israel, and destroying Israel as part of destroying America. And they know that.
Is it interchangeable? I mean, specifically here nationally, when you see these protests, do you think that they care 50% about destroying Israel and 50% about destroying America? Or are these American people that are here looking to destroy our country?
Yeah, but I can't speak for them. But to show you how pernicious this problem is, right? These guys go out and they protest, right? And they're not civil rights guys. They're just crisis actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens? The police sit there and they watch them, right? That's not civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is you go out and protest and then we arrest you. That's the way it works. That's how the game is played, right? But when they do that and the police sit there and watch them, the government officials are complicit in this policy of destroying and disrupting America. So we're getting it from both sides. The people running the governments and the people protesting against the governments.
They should be arrested, right? They should be removed from the road and taken and locked up until they can post bail or not even post bail and get let out.
That's what civil society is all about. That's what the rule of law is all about. We recognize, we don't kill protesters, right? We don't. Well, we do, or I say jail them forever. But apparently, at J6 we do that. But if you want to protest against a law, fine, and then you suffer the consequences of that. Protesting against the law and not having any consequences of that, that's just a free lunch to make everybody's our lives miserable. I mean, there's no difference between that and just putting the rapists and the murderers back out on the street. The idea is we're not going to enforce the law because it's politically incorrect. That is what destroys the rule of law.
Jim Carafano is speaking with us right now. You've said this many times that the Biden administration is telling foreign leaders, don't listen to what we say, watch what we do. And then, of course, on the home front, he's putting a lot of things out there that sends mixed messages. So hopefully all of the people he wants to show up to vote for him during election season will still feel like he's kind of on their side. What do you make of the leak from the Biden administration and his conversation with Israel, and where America's position is right now with our alliance with Israel?
Yeah, no, I think, I get the whole thing. Well, we want the people, these crazy people to vote for us. I get that. But I really think what's really deterring him is he doesn't want bad things to happen before the election. And so he really doesn't want to do anything. And as a result of that, lots of bad things are happening. I mean, this was so freaking predictable that literally you give Iran the get-out-of-jail-free card, and then Iran knows that you're completely dependent on them not being crazy, and so then they act crazy. And now it's like, oh, what are you going to do now? You're going to cut me off? You're going to cut off my oil? You're going to sanction me now? I'll get even more crazy.
We're 203 days until the election. That's a lot of time to be holding your breath to make sure nothing happens to upset voters.
Yeah, it's a completely unworkable strategy.
Man,
I think. But
is the end result
and
there?
And I've said this before. I mean, maybe I'm wrong because I'm not a political person, so I know. But I don't think they care if they lose this. I mean, Biden,
really?
They don't care. First of all, they got billions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars to spend, so they're going to spend on it. And it's not their money, so what do they care if they don't get reelected? Who cares if Biden doesn't get reelected? Trump will be a one-term president, They'll yell and scream them for 4 years. They don't have a national candidate anyway, so they have 4 years to find one. They made a big mess in the last 4 years, and everybody will be worried about trying to fix it. So I don't think losing an election is the biggest thing for them. And all this bad stuff, it's like, oh, what's the problem? If the world burns and it's on fire, then we'll just hand it over to Donald Trump and say it's all his fault.
Let me ask you this question to wrap up here. We saw people supporting Israel in the Middle East that maybe traditionally haven't done before. Is there any American policy that has lent towards the shifting of support that we've seen for Israel that's helped cause that?
Hell no. They're just, look, there's two things that no Arab diplomat will ever tell you are absolutely true. One is they could care less about Palestine. The other one is they're terrified of Iran.
So their support in this instance is certainly...
Yeah, Jordan doesn't love the Israelis, but Jordan knows it's on the hit list.
Yeah.
That's why it's helping shoot down Trump.
Enemy of my enemy, it sounds like. Jim Carafano, we always love speaking with you and your insight. Thanks for giving us some of your time this afternoon.
You're the best.
Thank you.
See you, friend.
Talk to you next week. The senior counselor to the president. I always need to add in at Heritage Foundation because one time he goes, what if people think I'm actually counseling this president? I'm like, I don't think anyone thinks that. And if they do, we'll have to check his hearing because he didn't listen to Jim Carafano. But we do. We love talking to him, and we're grateful for the time he always works in 97.1 as one of his destination stations. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, Mark Lutter is going to be with us. And one of the things, we were asking this YouTube live chat poll question for today. Did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency, yes or no? Yesterday, we asked the question, in case you missed it, has Joe Biden done anything that was a net positive in his presidency? 89% of you said no. So I'm interested to see how you guys feel about criticizing President Trump. We have several things that people have listed. We've listed some things on our own that we think that President Trump did not do well during his presidency. But as we've discussed, a lot of those things in a second term might be buttoned up already so that on day one, they're not going to make the same mistakes that they had to work through in the first term. Mark Lutter with the America First Policy Institute is going to discuss what that might look like and how prepared they are to get stuff done on day one. Mark Lutter in just a minute. Don't go away.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
TheDiamondShop.net. I've talked to you about being a VIP there, and it's incredibly simple to do. You just visit TheDiamondShop.net. Now, you can visit them in person in their store. It's a beautiful store in Clayton, and they've been there for quite some time. They've been serving St. Louis since 1910, but in Clayton more recently since 1910. When you go onto the website and you are looking at thediamondshop.net, you scroll down to the very bottom and it says Become a Diamond Shop VIP. They need your name, your email, your phone, your birthday month, and your anniversary month if necessary. Submit. Boom. There you go. When you become a VIP, you get extra access to savings. 40% off all color stone jewelry, 30% off all in-stock jewelry here in April, but being a VIP is going to get you an extra 10% off with that VIP special. They do a lot of things, of course. They create custom jewelry. If you've got a family heirloom that you want to turn into a more practical piece for you to be able to wear instead of just keeping in a box in a special place in your home, you want to turn a ring into a pendant or maybe a necklace into some earrings or whatever it might be, they can help you navigate that custom jewelry opportunity that you might have and come up with something unique and beautiful exactly for you. Find out all the details you need to know online. You can visit them in Clayton, but you can go to the website right now at thediamondshop.net.
I have great investment advice for you. I should preface this by saying I have zero knowledge as an investment advisor. If you're looking to purchase a furnace and air conditioner, we have 0% financing, not on La Land, Save the World, Save the Planet systems, just on systems that we need to cool and heat our homes. Simple. If you could do that and buy that with no interest, you're saving thousands of dollars. So call me if you're looking to make an investment in your heating and cooling system and make the best investment that you can for your family, your money, your home. Call me. Did I say call me? Again, call me. Bart Inman, one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. Or the internet, bartinman.com. Now that is Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
Hi, I'm Bob Kershaw with Retirement Advisory Group. Are you worried about market volatility in this election year? Are you concerned your money won't last you through retirement?
Hi, I'm Tammy Kershaw, and as a family-owned business, we are committed to protecting your retirement, whether you're nearing retirement or already retired. We have a lot of folks that aren't aware of all the new investment choices that are available, which give you growth and protection from losses at the same time. Are you aware of all the fees that you are currently paying? We can show you how to avoid those fees. So come in now for your free retirement review and get a second opinion on your retirement plan. And just for coming in, you'll get a copy of our latest edition book, Your Key to a Worry-Free Retirement. Let us show you how to retire with confidence.
We are proud to say we haven't lost a penny of our clients' money in 38 years, and we won't lose a penny of yours either. Let our family help your family. Call us now at 314-993-9494 or go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
The IRS definitely ramped up operations since the pandemic slowed them down, and activity only increases from here. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. If you're currently under audit or you haven't paid your taxes in the past, now's the time to call the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS has a published Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which says you have the right to retain legal representation, because IRS problems are legal problems, and the Lance Drury Law Firm focuses specifically on addressing IRS issues for our clients. It's all we do. We get out in front of the IRS, devise the best resolution plan, and work to make sure you're able to take advantage of every program you're qualified to receive. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure company, call the Lance Drury Law Firm. We're local, located right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURYlaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Drury Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Get in your comfort zone with double carrier cool cash rebates up to $4,200 and 0% financing for up to 72 months on a new HVAC system. For details and a free estimate, visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Well, we're going to try something a little new after Sue's News in the 4 o'clock hour called Ask the Show. You can ask Fred, Abby, Sue, me, anything within reason.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Campaign is to basically save Biden from himself because of what he's done to support this massacre, to fund it, to be the bank for Israel in the slaughter of these people. That he is essentially guaranteeing that thousands and thousands of Americans are going to stay home and not vote on election day because they're not going to vote for Trump. But this is how Trump could win. Because that 150,000 he won by in 2020, Hillary lost Michigan by just 11,000 votes.
Yeah.
That's 2 votes on average, 2 votes per precinct in Michigan. That's it. That's how close this could be. What it means actually to me personally is that now I've got to double and quadruple my efforts to make sure Trump loses because Biden is working against me.
Michael Moore getting a little worried about Michigan and Joe Biden's ability to secure it because of a lot of what's going on through his foreign policy, I guess, political actions. This is what happens when you have a president who only reacts and doesn't act on principle. We've seen that with Joe Biden, and it is politically perilous for him, and Michigan is very important. And the question you have to ask is, what is Donald Trump doing counter to what Michael Moore has to say there? What is Donald Trump doing to win Michigan and some of these other swing states that he is leading in the polls? We ask Mark Lutter that question right now. We welcome you back to the show, Mark, Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute, and you have a lot of expertise and experience working with President Trump. We appreciate you coming back with us to have a talk.
No, it's great to talk to you, Annie.
When you hear Michael Moore getting a little panicky about Joe Biden's ability to secure Michigan. I think that's good news for Republicans, but obviously there's still a lot of work to do.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, here's the thing you got to remember. You go back to the Real Clear Politics average and just go nationally to make it easy. Donald Trump right now is up by 0.2%. It's hardly anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go back to this point in 2020, Biden was leading by 5.5 points. When you go back to this point in 2016, Hillary Clinton was leading by 10 points. When you go back to the actual results from 2020, the difference in terms of the vote totals were about 4.5 points for Joe Biden and 2.5 points in 2016. And so literally, you don't have to be winning the Real Clear Politics average. He doesn't have to win the national vote to win the election, and he's winning the national election right now.
Yeah.
That tells you why they're panicked.
I can't help but watch Joe Biden wait for something to happen and then watch him react to it. I really ask myself, what are the actual principles of Joe Biden's administration and maybe even in a larger point, the Democrat Party? It seems like the one consistent thing they're willing to do is act on like the Green Initiative. They're willing to put America not first, at least. They put the Green Initiative first, but everything else seems to be very reactionary. And then they try to explain away unsavory news headlines and statistics. Do you think he's going to continue this trajectory of going down? Like, the explaining isn't seeming to work on the American people right now that are actually maybe considering for the first time supporting the alternative, which is Donald Trump.
Well, and the results make it very simple. I mean, there's a very key reason. People don't like what they see with the inflation. They don't like what they see at gas prices or the southern border or the wars or crime or anything. So all of these things are the reason why Joe Biden is unpopular. And he's so weak right now. Do you remember that old game on The Price is Right where you had the little red area and you had to slide it back and forth to what the price was? Well, that's Joe Biden's vote total. So every time he shifts to the middle, he loses the left. And every time he shifts to the left, he loses what's left of the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's got such a narrow margin. That's why he's trying to placate them with the pro-Hamas, pro-terrorism radical left at the cost of the middle, but then he tries to pivot back on something else, and then he's trying to buy some votes with young voters. He's got such a narrow little scale there, and every time he does something, he might gain a vote, but he loses two. And so he's just trying to find that sweet spot, and he can't because it doesn't add up.
Just a quick question that's popped in my mind, and I just always want to throw this out there because I get people suggested to me as well. You think there's any chance that Joe Biden, after the convention, is not the guy?
No, I don't see it. And here's the reason why. Because the one area where they are really struggling with Democrats right now are with black voters. And black voters are actually waking up and realizing life sucks under Democrat policies. It was better under Trump. And so Trump gets about 20% right now of the black vote. We got 8% in 2020, by the way. So he's more than doubled his support with black Americans. If you replace Joe Biden with anyone other than Kamala Harris, you are going to depress an already depressed voting group. And so there's no pathway to win there. And of course, as we all know, she's even worse than he is.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It's impossible for them to replace Joe Biden with anyone other than Kamala because a lot of black voters who may already be on the fence but are still toeing the party line and be like, I've had it. I'm done. Especially black women. I'm done.
Yeah.
You disrespected the vice president. I'm staying home.
Mark Lutter speaking with us right now, the Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute. I'm glad you brought up Kamala Harris because there has to be a real focus from the Trump campaign to remind voters that, the one of the prevailing concerns with Joe Biden is his ability to physically do the job and carry out 4 more years in the Oval Office, which means that Kamala Harris has to be part of the conversation. Do you think that we've entered that part of the campaign phase quite yet, or does it just speak for itself?
No, I think that'll happen right before the vice presidential debate. Look, it's true of both parties, and I firmly believe this. Nobody goes into the voting booth and says, I'm voting for blank for vice president.
Mm-hmm.
The vice president can cost you votes, but they can't win you votes. And so you keep the focus on the top of the ticket. That's who people are voting for. They're going in to vote Trump or Biden. And she is a drag on his ticket, and you kind of keep that in the narrative, but don't lose focus because it's ultimately going to be all about him.
What about Donald Trump's vice president? Do you see an advantage to? I've heard people suggest Brian Kilmeade's on 97.1 before I am, and he wants the whole cabinet to be named. He wants surrogates out there talking about the message and being consistent, so that while Donald Trump is in court, that the message can still be out there. Then I think you put a lot of people out there potentially to make mistakes and then have to draw them back in. But we need a vice president candidate as well. What would your advice be, or what do you expect to see with Donald Trump talking about should he be elected? These are the people who are on my team.
Yeah, so I wrote an op-ed about this 2 or 3 weeks ago in The Hill, where I basically said, look, there's only 4 reasons why a vice president is picked, and it's true for both parties, and it's been true for the last 45 years. You're either chosen for demographics, geographics, because we need to win a state or we need to win a region. You win because you're of a specific policy area where a candidate might be weak, and so you're bolstering that weakness, or you're doing it to unite the party. And so from a policy standpoint, well, Trump's already been president. And from a unite the party, well, there's a possibility there. I think it's going to be more of a demographic pick, where what do you bring to the campaign ultimately? What do you bring to the campaign that the president or the presidential candidate needs and wants? And so when you throw names out there, we always have to remember, well, what are they bringing to the campaign that he doesn't already have? It's like when I hear people talk about some great MAGA champions and warriors. I'm like, well, MAGA champions and warriors don't need to be sold on Trump. Yeah. We got that.
So, in space.
We got that. So what are you bringing to me that I don't already have? And so I think whether that would be someone like a Tim Scott or an Elise Stefanik or some of the other many names that are being bandied out there, could you send them into Detroit, Atlanta, and try to help encourage black voters to make the switch? Could you go into suburban areas and tell suburban moms, hey, remember grocery prices, gas prices, parents being targeted as terrorists at school? This is what we're fighting against, and I'm fighting for you. So these are the kinds of things that I would see him being able to do. It's not like he's going to go in and say, oh, I need someone to shore up my foreign policy experience or can get stuff done on the Hill. I've been there, done that already.
Do you feel like the VP needs to be somebody people already know? Does it need to be a big name?
Yes and no. And I say big name. It doesn't have to be a big name in terms of the general population, but it needs to be somebody who is known in the D.C. media, New York swamp kind of area where they've already passed the test. I mean, for as bad as Kamala Harris is, she's been a United States senator for a long time. She's qualified. She's horrible, but she's qualified to be president. You had the same thing with the Mike Pence. You had the same thing with other VP choices. Like, we don't have to prove your bona fides that if for some reason you need to become the president or acting president, that you're not qualified. So you want to check that box and just take that away, because that also eliminates the possibility of some stuff that we may not know what's in your background. Most of these national political figures, and it could be a governor too, but they've been executives, they've been vetted. You're not going to get a lot of surprises. And when you're in a close presidential race, the last thing you want is the focus to be on the vice president, other than the debate.
We're speaking with Mark Lutter here with the America First Policy Institute. We had on we do a YouTube poll for our live broadcast on YouTube every day. Yesterday's, I asked our audience, who is obviously, we're talking to Trump people on the whole, but not everybody is. But I asked yesterday for them to tell me anything. Do you think there is anything that Joe Biden has done in his presidency that is a net positive? And 89% of over 250 people said no, they couldn't come up with anything. Today, we're asking, did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency, just to see if there are things that people criticize about term number one. And everything that is coming up are things that are very fixable in term two if there's a plan put in place. And also, looking back on Donald Trump's first term, the amount of opposition from every nook and cranny in Washington, D.C., fighting against Donald Trump, I would just assume that upon term two, especially with the help of people like you guys at the America First Policy Institute and the plans that you've put together, that on day one of term two of Donald Trump's presidency, he's going to be able to do a lot of things right away that took him a long time in the first term to get his sea legs for. I wanted you to comment on that.
And, you're absolutely right. I walked into the Oval Office with President Trump for the very first time as president on January 20th, 2017, a little before 7 p.m. And so I know what it was like. And the movement, the entire America First, conservative, Republican, whatever you want to call it, wasn't ready. And it's partly because he ran against that system.
Yeah.
He was the outsider. Well, now he's not the outsider, so he's learned those lessons. But to give you an example, Annie, when Joe Biden took office on day one, 1,200 people got deployed and appointed to jobs in the various federal government to take over. We had 500. Donald Trump signed one executive order in like the first 4 days in office. Joe Biden signed over 20. But those things can now all be corrected and they can all be fixed. And so all the lessons that we learned the hard way especially during that first year, but even the first 2 years, you've got that playbook. And those people who are out there, for the most part, are writing the playbook now for the next group of people that will come in and do it and say, here's where I learned the hard way, or here's the places where the deep state and the swamp will throw up roadblocks and try to derail you. Get control of this office or appoint that person over, not the who, but fill that position. So, because you need that a political appointee to stop the bureaucrats who are all Democrats from throwing up roadblocks. So we've learned so much, and I know we'll be ready the next time around. Now we just got to get them across the finish line.
Yeah.
So he can actually do it.
We're speaking with Mark Lutter. Last question for you. We were discussing this a little bit earlier, but I wouldn't have it this way if it were up to Queen Annie, and it certainly wasn't. But in 4 years of Joe Biden, we've really been able to see where a lot of the sore spots are. And there's been a lot of exposure of swamp, is probably an easy way to say it, while Joe Biden has been in office. And I'm wondering if the America First agenda that I think that Donald Trump espouses very, very well is going to be better served to do more good with a Joe Biden presidency intermittent between term one and term two, if you've been able to learn more than you would have if those terms would have been consecutive. I guess maybe just trying to look at the bright side here of what Donald Trump could do should he be given that second term.
I was actually saying those exact same things last night to some of my colleagues at dinner.
Eavesdropping.
Yes, channeling the great Queen Annie. But no,
nobody's ever said that before.
but you're absolutely correct. And I go back to Jimmy Carter. If Jimmy Carter wouldn't have been a failure, we wouldn't have gotten Ronald Reagan. Okay, so the American people decided that they wanted to give Joe Biden a chance. Well, guess what? You got what you asked for. Now people don't like it. And so I think we will actually be stronger coming back because people were like, well, we tried it your way and it stinks. Yeah. We don't like the economy. We don't like the border, the wars, the gas prices, you name it, EV mandates. All of these things are horrible. And so, sometimes I hate to say it this way, but if you give them enough rope, they'll hang themselves with it. Well, people gave them the rope. Democrats have shown their policies don't work. And now I think the American people are going, let's go back to the stuff that did.
Yeah. And the policy changes that could be put into effect, especially with everything that is being assembled by what America First Policy Institute, among some other people we discuss, all of these things that are prepared for day one for Donald Trump's second term. To me, this potentially breeds 12 more years of America First, where after 2 consecutive terms of Donald Trump, maybe people would have been tired of it and we would have maybe not had Joe Biden in 2028 as the candidate. And who knows what could happen. Like I said, I'm trying to look on the bright side and eavesdropping on your dinner conversation, Mark Lutter. Thank you for coming on with us. We are grateful for your input on these issues. We look forward to having you back.
Anytime. Look forward to it.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Mark Lutter is the Chief Communications Officer at America First Policy Institute, also the former Director of Strategic Communications for the Trump-Pence 2020 ticket and the former Special Assistant to President Trump. When, like you said, he was there upon first entrance into the Oval Office after Donald Trump had sworn in. I just imagine walking in there and going, well, what do we do now? That kind of felt like that honeymoon period with Donald Trump when he took office. And, Brad, when I think about all of the preparations that have been put into play and articulated in documented form over these 4 years that would be studied, and all you're waiting is for the proverbial gun to go off to start the race. The minute that Donald Trump is sworn into office, it's going to be something to behold, to see how much work that they can get done immediately.
Yeah.
In a completely drastic situation, when you think about the Joe Biden policy being, what did Trump do? Undo it. now you can go, what did Biden undo? Do it again, but do it in a way that is even more refined and probably better prepared because they've had time. I did not listen into Mark Latter's dinner conversation. Interesting talk there with him. The articles of impeachment. Can we just go to this? Can we listen into this? Mark Green, a representative from Tennessee, is the House impeachment manager and is speaking on the Senate floor right now as those articles have been delivered to the Senate. Let's listen in.
Resolution 863. Resolved that Alejandro Nicolas Mayorcas, Secretary of Homeland Security of the United States of America, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors, and that the following articles of impeachment be exhibited to the United States Senate. Articles of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America in the name of itself and the people of the United States of America against Alejandro N. Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security of the United States of America, in maintenance and support of its impeachment against him for high crimes and misdemeanors. Article 1, willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law. The Constitution provides that the House of Representatives, quote, shall have the sole power of impeachment, end quote, and that civil officers of the United States, including the Secretary of Homeland Security, quote, shall be removed from office on impeachment for and conviction of treason, bribery, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, end quote. In his conduct while Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro N. Mayorkas, in violation of his oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, to bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and to well and faithfully discharge the duties of his office, has willfully and systemically refused to comply with the federal immigration laws in that. Throughout his tenure as Secretary of Homeland Security, Alejandro N. Mayorkas has repeatedly violated laws enacted by Congress regarding immigration and border security. In large part because of his unlawful conduct, millions of aliens have illegally entered the United States on an annual basis, with many unlawfully remaining in the United States. His refusal to obey the law is not only an offense against the separation of powers in the Constitution of the United States, it also threatens our national security and has had a dire impact on communities across the country. Despite clear evidence that his willful and systemic refusal to comply with the law has significantly contributed to unprecedented levels of illegal immigrants entrance, the increased control of the southwest border by drug cartels, and the imposition of enormous costs on states and localities affected by the influx of aliens, Alejandro N. Mayorkas has continued in his refusal to comply with the law and thereby acted to the grave detriment of the interests of the United States. Alejandro N. Mayorkas engaged in this scheme or course of conduct through the following means. 1. Alejandro N. Mayorkas willfully refused to comply with the detention mandate set forth in Section 235B2A of the Immigration and Nationality Act, requiring that all applicants for admission who are, quote, not clearly and beyond a doubt entitled to be admitted shall be detained for a removal proceeding, end quote. Instead of complying with this requirement, Alejandro N. Mayorkas implemented a catch and release scheme whereby such aliens were unlawfully released, even without effective mechanisms to ensure appearance before the immigration courts for removal proceedings or to ensure removal in the case of aliens ordered removed. 2. Alejandro N. Mayorkas willfully refused to comply with the detention mandate set forth in Section 235B1B2 of such act, requiring that an alien who is placed into expedited removal proceedings and determined to have a credible fear of persecution, quote, shall be detained for further consideration of the application for asylum, end quote. Instead of complying with this requirement, Alejandro N. Mayorkas implemented a catch and release scheme whereby such aliens were unlawfully released, even without effective mechanisms to ensure appearances before the immigration courts for removal proceedings or to ensure removal in the case of aliens ordered removed. 3. Alejandro N. Mayorkas willfully refused to comply with the detention set forth in Section 235B1B3 4 of such act, requiring that an alien who is placed into expedited removal proceedings and determined not to have a credible fear of persecution, quote, shall be detained until removed, end quote. Instead of complying with this requirement, Alejandro N. Mayorkas has implemented a catch-and-release scheme whereby such aliens are unlawfully released, even without effective mechanisms to ensure appearance before the immigration courts for removal proceedings or to ensure removal in the case of aliens ordered removed. 4. Alejandro N. Mayorkas willfully refused to comply with the detention mandate set forth in Section 236C of such act, requiring that a criminal alien who is inadmissible or deportable on certain criminal and terrorism-related grounds, quote, shall be taken into custody, end quote, when the alien is released from law enforcement custody. Instead of complying with this requirement, Alejandro N. Mayorkas issued, quote, guidelines for the enforcement of civil immigration laws, end quote, which instructs Department of Homeland Security, hereinafter referred to as DHS, officials that the, quote, fact an individual is a removable non-citizen should not alone be the basis of an enforcement action against them, end quote. And that DHS, quote, personnel should not rely on the fact of conviction alone, end quote, even with respect to aliens subject to mandatory arrest and detention pursuant to Section 236C of such act, to take them into custody. In Texas versus the United States, 40 F 4th 205, 2022, the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit concluded that these guidelines had, quote, every indication of being a general policy that is so extreme as to amount to an abdication of statutory responsibility, end quote. And that is, quote, replacement of Congress's statutory mandates with concerns of equity and race is extra-legal and plainly outside the bounds of the power conferred by the INA, end quote. Number 5, Alejandro N. Mayorkas willfully refused to comply with the detention mandate set forth in Section 241A2 of such act, requiring that an alien ordered removed, quote, shall be detained, quote, during, quote, the removal period, end quote. Instead of complying with this mandate, Alejandro N. Mayorkas issued, quote, guidelines for the enforcement of civil immigration laws, end quote, which instructs DHS officials that the, quote, fact an individual is removable non-citizen should not alone be the basis of an enforcement action against them, end quote, and that DHS, quote, personnel should not rely on the fact of conviction alone, end quote, even with respect to aliens subject to mandatory detention and removal pursuant to Section 241A of such act. 6, Alejandro N. Mayorkas willfully exceeded his parole authority set forth in Section 212D5A of such act that permits parole to be granted, quote, only on a case-by-case basis, end quote, temporarily and, quote, for urgent humanitarian reasons or significant public benefit, end quote, in that, A, Alejandro N. Mayorkas paroled aliens en masse in order to release them from mandatory detention, despite the fact that, as the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit concluded in Texas versus Biden, 20 F 4th 928, 2021, quote, paroling every alien DHS cannot detain is the opposite of the case-by-case basis determinations required by law, end quote. And, quote, DHS's pretended power to parole aliens while ignoring the limitations Congress imposed on the parole power is not non-enforcement. It's misenforcement, suspension of the INA, or both. B, Alejandro N. Mayorkas created, reopened, or expanded a series of categorical parole programs never authorized by Congress for foreign nationals outside the United States, including for certain Central American minors, Ukrainians, Venezuelans, Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, Colombians, Salvadorans, Guatemalans, and Hondurans, which enabled hundreds of thousands of inadmissible aliens to enter the United States in violation to the laws enacted by Congress. Alejandro N. Mayorkas willfully exceeded his release authority set forth in Section 236A of such act that permits, in certain circumstances, the release of aliens arrested on an administrative warrant, in that Alejandro N. Mayorcas released aliens arrested without a warrant, despite their being subject to a separate applicable mandatory detention requirement set forth in Section 235b2 of such act. Alejandro N. Mayorcas released such aliens.
All right, so we're listening to the House impeachment manager, Mark Green there, the Republican from Tennessee. This just moments after the impeachment managers for the House physically walked the House-passed articles over to the Senate side to deliver them to the majority leader there. Chad Pergram is with us. Chad, talk us through what's happening now and what we are about to see happen next.
Well, this is where the House impeachment managers, basically the prosecutors, as I stated earlier, and Mark Green is the lead impeachment manager, get to make their case. If this trial actually goes on for a while, which we're not anticipating at this stage, we would probably hear from each of these managers presenting a section of a case that they were presenting to the Senate. This might, in fact, be the only time that we hear from Mark Green or any of the impeachment managers if the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer has his way potentially tomorrow, sometime after 1 o'clock, and prospectively maybe moves to dismiss or send this to a committee or something along those lines. You know, Chuck Schumer, the Majority Leader, he has kept his cards very close to his vest here. He has not indicated exactly what he would do, only to say that he wants this wrapped up quickly and wants to get the best way to get this done. The other thing I should note is that it's just not up to Chuck Schumer. They have to vote. As I always say, it's about the math. They have to have 51 votes to move to dismiss this. That's not out of the ordinary to have some people who are absent. This is why Chuck Schumer indicated that he wanted all senators in place today. And if they move to dismiss tomorrow, that's it. Game over. They have ended this impeachment of Alejandro Mayorcas. Patty Murray, the president pro tem, she is presiding. She is the most senior member of the majority party. She's presiding over this case. And Mike Lee, the Republican from Utah, he wants to try to extend this. He might try to offer a motion, but I should note that Chuck Schumer, because he's the majority leader, he gets recognized first on the Senate floor. So he might be able to maneuver around Mike Lee and some of these Republicans who want to extend this trial and finish this rather quickly tomorrow. That would be it once they swear in the senators as jurors at 1 o'clock tomorrow. Those are the only things that have to happen. So
Chad Pergram reporting right now on the articles of impeachment for Alejandro Mayorcas, the really probably architect of the breakdown of our southern border and the House of Representatives. It's so super ceremonial. It looks like a dirge. When they're walking, it looks like a funeral procession. They're literally walking the papers that are the articles of impeachment from the House over to the Senate, and they're walking in like a two-person line, very somber. You know what's somber? The state of affairs at our southern border. Is the Senate going to impeach Mayorcas? I don't think there's a chance that the Senate impeaches Mayorcas. You know who I want to hear from? The John Fettermans of the world, the Kirsten Sinemas of the world, the people who are in the Senate right now who are willing to speak up from the left and acknowledge the fact. Let's get the fact acknowledged that we have a crisis at our southern border. The House has delivered those articles of impeachment, and we will wait to see what happens next. Stick around. A lot more Any Friday Show coming at you in the next hour. We'll be right back.
King of Sweden, he gave her things that she
Traffic law counselors is where we go when the police hassle us. Go to 45bucks.com.
This is Mike Carter, founder of 45bucks.com, or as you know it, Traffic Law Counselors. And right now, around tax time, we know folks are taking care of issues that they may have been putting off for a while. Maybe a driving while suspended or a warrant, things that you may have been worrying about for a little while. And we specialize in keeping folks' records clean. They come to us on a Monday, they can't drive, and by the end of that week on a Friday, we've got them back in the driver's seat driving legally. And that's very gratifying. And God forbid you're wrestling with something like a DWI. You can go to DWISTL.com. We got 10 paralegals and attorneys that are working on those cases nonstop, and depositions, trials, hearings, and we can put that to work for you as well. In fact, it's the enduring success of Traffic Law Counselors that has enabled us to be the preeminent DWI attorneys in St. Louis at DWISTL.com. So now you know, if you have a traffic matter, it's 45bucks.com. If you've got a DWI issue, it's DWISTL.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
The Retirement Advisory Group is there to help you walk through that transition period. I'm talking to you folks in your mid to late 50s and your 60s, even if you have just recently retired. When you call 314-993-9494, you get connected to the Retirement Advisory Group. You get connected to Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw and Tammy Kershaw and the amazing staff that is there to make that transition period simple, worry-free even. Knowing what you can learn from the Retirement Advisory Group at that transitionary period is going to take the fear away. There's a lot of excitement that goes along with retirement, but there's a lot of trepidation. Like, did I do enough? Did I save enough? Have I made the right moves to make sure that I'm going to be able to pay myself in retirement and enjoy it the way I hope to? That's where the Retirement Advisory comes in, and they are one phone call away. 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. RetirementKey.com.
Tired of those pesky moments when you're streaming your favorite shows? Well, say hello to i3 Broadband's 100% fiber optic network with parental controls. You can manage your kids' screen time, filter content, and keep an eye on their online adventures. All with no annual contracts or hidden fees. Just insanely fast internet and a no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee. Call 877-976-0711 or log on to i3broadband.com/STL. We're local, reliable, and proud to serve St. Louis.
Our $79 garage door tune-up extended through April. Is your garage door old and whining for attention? Overhead Door Company of St. Louis will make it all better. They'll perform their full 26-task garage door tune-up for just $79, extended through April. That's just $79 for up to 3 garage doors and openers. You need this done once a year, so why not now? And for just $79. Schedule now at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This is a Fox News alert. Articles of impeachment delivered on Lisa Brady. It's the next step in a Republican-led effort to oust Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorcas, who was impeached by the House in February. Those charges walked over to the Senate by the House impeachment managers just a short time ago.
Resolved that Alejandro Nicolas Mayorkas, Secretary of Homeland Security of the United States of America, is impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors.
House impeachment manager Mark Green reading the charges, including willfully violating immigration laws. Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill.
This is a scene not witnessed on Capitol Hill in 148 years. The Senate asked by the House to sit in judgment of a cabinet secretary. Clay Higgins of Louisiana will prosecute the case before the Senate.
Secretary Mayorkas has not only betrayed the trust of the American people, his service as secretary has left a scar on our nation's soul that may never be removed.
It's a split screen for Mayorkas. He testified this morning before the very committee which impeached him. Republicans are now pushing Democrats to conduct a full trial, but Democrats suggest they may terminate the trial almost as quickly as it began.
The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says impeachment shouldn't be used to settle a policy dispute. Pro-Palestinian protesters sending a message to President Biden in Pennsylvania.
Stop funding genocide. President Biden, you can't hide.
This as the president kicks off 3 days of campaigning in the battleground state, beginning in his hometown, Scranton.
I learned that no one's looking for a handout. All anybody wants is a fair shot at making, and they deserve a fair shot.
Contrasting his tax policies with former President Trump today, while the former president is back in a New York courtroom for day 2 of his hush money-related trial, where many potential jurors have been dismissed so far, some with scheduling issues, others saying they can't be impartial. America is listening to Fox News.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
A very windy and warm afternoon with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Still expecting at least some scattered showers and thunderstorms after about 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. A couple of them could go strong to severe, but the widespread severe weather outbreak is to our north and to our northeast. Scattered evening showers and thunderstorms should all be gone by about 9 o'clock. That's 65 Wednesday, sunny skies. Still windy, 78. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Ruler Foods is a great way to keep a few pennies in your pocket, probably more dollars in pretty much every instance where you go shopping at Ruler Foods. I am a huge fan personally of the produce that they have at Ruler Foods. And I think a lot of people think at a store where you're saving money, you got to put the quarter in the cart in order to get it. It's a great way to invest in the savings on the whole with everything you put in that cart, that maybe the produce might be lacking. Not my experience at all at Ruler Foods. We get berries from Ruler Foods all the time, and right now you can save on them. Raspberries or blackberries, 6-ounce packages, 99 cents each. Avocados, we can get some herbs from there as well. Bagged salads, they're super delicious, and they're fresh and good. Apples, grapes, all these things that we are getting regularly. Bananas for my family at a lesser price and still fresh and still great quality. But you can get fresh meat as well. When you save on Kroger ground beef in a 3-pound roll, it's just $2.99 a pound. We had some of that last night in our house, had some cheeseburgers. They were delicious, and I'm grateful that when I'm feeding 6 people in my house that we get to do it for less, because that's not the case in most places these days. Shop at Ruler Foods and save. You'll be glad that you did. Give it a chance to understand what I've been talking to you about. Find them online at rulerfoods.com.
Outdoor Living Redefined, brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design, your trusted partner in crafting stunning decks, inviting screened rooms, and elegant porch overhangs. Imagine enjoying a crisp morning coffee on your beautifully designed deck, or hosting gatherings in a spacious screened room. Lakeside turns your vision into reality. Our skilled craftsmen use top-notch materials to create spaces that stand up to the elements and stand out in style. Elevate your lifestyle with Lakeside's outdoor living expertise. Visit our showroom or call Lakeside Renovation and Design today.
On Friday, April 19th, groove on down to Busch Stadium for Grateful Dead Night. With the purchase of a special themed ticket, fans will receive a long-sleeve Grateful Dead lightweight hoodie. Come early for a special pregame performance by St. Louis's favorite Dead tribute band, Jake's Leg, on the Budweiser stage. A portion of each ticket purchased will be donated to the Rex Foundation. For tickets or more information, visit cardinals.com/theme.
This is Jojo Romero, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Sunday, April 21st is Donate Life Day at the Ballpark, presented by Mid-America Transplant. That day, the Cardinals host the Brewers, and fans who purchase a special themed ticket will receive an exclusive Cardinals cap supporting organ and tissue donation. A portion of each ticket sold will be donated back to support the Mid-America Transplant Foundation. That's Sunday, April 21st, Donate Life Day at the Ballpark. For tickets or more information, visit cardinals.com/theme.
This is David Eckstein, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Don't pay retail for your diamond engagement ring or gift. Come to cleanorigin.com, where experts in ecologically friendly lab-grown diamonds. Mention code RADIO10 for 10% off. That's cleanorigin.com online or one of our retail stores.
Don't miss the Mark Cox Morning Show Spring Bourbon Fling at Clayton Winehouse. Kim St. Ange here. Join Mark and me on Thursday, April 18th. We'll try Green River, Redwood Empire, plus Big O Ginger Liqueur, Round Pond Wines, and more. Tickets are on sale now at 971talk.com/events.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is sponsored by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show, 2:07 here in St. Louis. Sunny St. Louis, windy St. Louis, I might add as well. We spoke with Mark Lutter and Jim Carafano in the 1 o'clock hour. If you missed that and you want to check it out, don't forget we got podcasts. You can listen to it there. You can rewind on the YouTube channel. I was interested to listen to Mark Lutter's response, specifically, Brad, to what we were talking about before, which is our YouTube poll today. Did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? And if this is like the type of thing that if somebody comes across just the headline of today's show and they don't listen to our show or they don't listen to this one particularly, they'll be like, oh, Annie's hating on Trump. I'm really just giving people the opportunity to say, no, he was flawless, perfect. Or I wish he would have done this better. I wish he would have done that better. Should he be given 4 more years? I have yet to see anything that I've seen criticisms of it from listeners, but I have yet to see anything that Donald Trump couldn't commit to in his second term, doing better very quickly. And Mark Lutter acknowledged that and was talking about how, what did he say? It was like they put 500 people in to the 1,200 people put in Biden's first day. They just know where all the bodies are being buried right now. Hopefully not literally. I'm just going to make a Hillary joke. I just decided not to. That's the extent of my Hillary joke. Hillary Clinton. I want to get to some of the comments here from people who have been weighing in on this poll question. I haven't looked at the results. I have no idea where they are. Obviously, on the whole, this is going to be more of a pro-Trump crowd listening to this show or 97.1 FM Talk, being St. Louis's home for conservative talk in St. Louis. You're going to be leaning towards supporting Donald Trump. But in what world would supporting Donald Trump mean being a sycophant for Donald Trump and not being able to say, he should have done this better? He didn't do this. He screwed this up in his first term. And then there's another question I'm going to get to at the end of reading some of your comments here, which is, do you want to hear Donald Trump acknowledge that he didn't execute it in the first term and commit to doing so should he be given a second term? Kenton said Trump should have fired corrupt Fauci early in the pandemic. Fauci gave false information and ruined the lives of children all over the country. Other than that, Trump was the perfect president. I think a lot of people are going to come through and have COVID thoughts and suggestions on today's YouTube poll. I will read JB's. He listened to the wrong people. Trump was attacked every day from the DNC and the mainstream media. He pursued in spite of their efforts to squelch him. I think that kind of goes in line with what my criticism, the reason why I would vote yes in this poll, is I think that the most net failure thing that Donald Trump did was he didn't appoint the right people or good people. He wasn't surrounding himself with the right and good people. And at the same time, I honestly don't know how he was supposed to not do that because he hadn't been of the swamp. He was infiltrating the swamp in order to rectify a lot of that. But still, throughout the course of his presidency, even after he maybe had learned, gosh, we really need the right person here, I think people would point to Bill Barr. I was a big fan of Bill Barr when he was appointed. But that didn't materialize in an effective way. I think that you need to ask yourself, who's going to be able to do the right thing and get along with Donald Trump at the same time and be in on the America First agenda? And Bill Barr seemed like half of that. And it just ended up not being effective. Let's go with Doc's response here. He said, voted no. He was unable to finish the wall, but that is because Democrats put one roadblock after the other in his way over that and every other conservative policy choice and decision he made. So I think what Doc is saying there is there are things that Donald Trump didn't execute that he said he was going to, but the roadblocks that were thrown in front of him aren't really his fault. And there is a lot to be said about that. The amount of disruption from the bureaucratic locations of Washington, D.C., from the just blind mainstream media that is willing to lap up whatever's served up to them because they had an agenda. They had an end game. They had an outcome, and they just had to run in the direction of the outcome. Come hell or high water, they were willing to do whatever they needed to do in order to effectively destroy Donald Trump. And they never gave up and haven't given up. And you know, you could point to the court case that's going on today as a good example of that. Bobo said, as far as did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? He said, I voted yes. Handing over the keys to the COVID kingdom to Fauci. That's the first thing that comes to mind. It's one of those things to me that it's like at first blush, I understand why he did it. He was relying on the people around him that were put in those positions or had been in those positions, had longevity in those positions to advise. And it turns out that it was wrong. And I feel like Donald Trump should have been in a position to take the keys back.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. I really want, of all of the things that Donald Trump did, I really want him to come out and speak on it, on the COVID response, what he's learned, if we were confronted with something that was of similar ilk, what he would do differently the next time. Jackie says, for the poll, yes, giving huge tax cut to the top 1% in big corporations, adding $7.8 trillion to the national debt after promising to eliminate it. I think that it is very fair to say that the spending measures at the very end of Donald Trump's term were bad. And I think that a lot of conservatives would agree with Jackie, who I don't think is a conservative. Is that right? Am I assessing that correctly?
Yeah, I'm not sure about Jackie.
That the ballooning of the national debt, in some cases, it's very hard to look at the money that was being given out while they were effectively shutting down businesses. So they were causing the fire and putting out the fire at the same time. And if you're the arsonist and the firefighter and you're trying to become fire chief, is that an elected position? Is the fire chief an elected position? I don't know. But if you're trying to run on the idea that you put out the fire that you started, then their fire chief's going, hey, what are you talking about, Andy? But, the amount of job loss and income loss that was subsidized by stimulus checks, those job losses were very much so due to Democrats in power who eliminated people's ability to choose to go to work.
They determined who was necessary and who was unnecessary, or who was essential. Remember that? It's only essential workers can go. And it's like, to anybody that's providing for their family, their job is essential.
And you had to have papers.
Mm-hmm.
You had to have papers that proved you were essential from the government. That was a scary time.
I don't remember that. Erica said, I voted yes. While hindsight is 20/20, Trump's COVID response was far from perfect, and he put way too much trust in Fauci. Trump is a deeply flawed man, but still so much better than Biden. That's a pretty good summation of the situation. So here's the question. We're listing off some of these things that Donald Trump did not execute the way we wanted to. Do you want to see him come out and say, I know, knowing what I know now, you don't have to say I blew it, but knowing what I know now, this is what I would have done differently, and this is how I will treat it differently in the future. Do you want to see him say that?
Yes.
Admit his failure?
I want him to come out and be like, all right, this is what I learned from the last time, and this is the mistakes that I won't make this time around, because I've been there, done that. I've got the T-shirt. I know the trouble that I can get into. I think it shows humility, it shows growth, and it shows that he's able to learn in advance. And if he's able to learn in advance, that makes him adaptable to the next situation. Not admitting it just kind of makes him sound arrogant.
I wonder, like, what does it look like to come out and talk about COVID right now? Like, what are the ways in which COVID can be discussed as a piece of history that we need to learn from to get to the point where we don't repeat it? Because if you make promises that you can't keep, that's going to be a problem. See, I think you probably address, maybe even pull back the curtain a little bit on the bureaucracy that was taking place behind closed doors with the Fauci-isms and the lady who wore the scarves, Dr. Birx.
Yep.
She had nice scarves. He could criticize those along the way. You know what I'd have done different? I'd have gotten rid of those scarves. I think he needs to commit to building the wall, because I think a lot of people want to see that. And should that wall have been in place now, the wall is there unless the Democrat comes in and tears it down. But the wall is there regardless of the administration that is in service. I'll read more responses here. Carlos says, yes, Trump failed on having one main person for COVID rather than a group of people that came to a consensus. Wavy says, yes, while having all three chambers, he didn't do immigration reform, didn't repeal and replace Obamacare with something better. His handling of COVID was not good, and his behaviors after he lost, OMG. That's kind of to your point about the Georgia stuff.
Yeah. He, I feel like he cost the Republicans and the GOP the Senate in that Georgia race by saying, don't go vote. You can't trust the system. It's all rigged, blah, blah, blah. And so people said, okay, we didn't. And then you got Raphael Warnock and what's the other guy's name? I can't even think of.
Oh, something.
Ossoff, yeah.
He threw kind of a hissy fit.
Yes.
I mean, that's really the way he reacted, in a hissy fit kind of way. And how incredibly different would Joe Biden's years in office been without the Senate majority?
Yeah. How much different would your life be had he done it correctly? Yeah, you know what? I'm not even taking away his complaints about the election, but his way of going about it was the issue. And just completely undermining the trust and not encouraging people to go out there. That was bad.
Chris says, yep, his COVID response should have never agreed to shut down the country. And then Vicky responded, yes, no one is perfect. And he did make mistakes, COVID stimulus. And I agree with Chris, nothing should have been shut down at all. I think that is a hindsight. People are, I mean, it's hard to remember this. Maybe, no, it's not hard to remember this, but it's crazy to think how flipped it is that we were so scared that we just hunkered down and we just listened for the next marching orders.
Mm-hmm.
So many people did that. If you were looking at your elderly family, if you were looking at your children, I remember walking home with groceries that I got here downtown. And I went in and got stuff here because Missouri wasn't shutting down, but Illinois was. And I paid an astronomical amount of money for convenience store groceries. But we had frozen foods, and I got a bunch of pizzas, I bought some ice cream, some fun stuff for the kids to do. I thought my kids would eat it, I probably paid $300 or $400 worth of groceries at this one stop because I didn't know. I mean, remember when we were like, you'd had to gear up to go to the grocery store. We were really afraid. It turns out that the mechanisms we used to treat people who had COVID were causing more of the problem.
Yeah.
We had to learn that the hard way. We were going to make mistakes as we moved to make the right calls. I have a lot of grace for people who are in a position like that where the only decision that's a wrong decision is no decision at all, where you freeze and you don't lead and you don't step into the scary time and say, no, we have to listen to what we know and we have to make a decision. I think that Donald Trump's attitude at first was in converse dramatically to what he was being told. If you remember back, Donald Trump was like, I want to see people be interested or be in service on Easter Sunday. And that was like mid-April.
Yeah.
And people accused him of being dangerous.
Yes. Yeah. Well, was it Florida? They opened up the beach and that one reporter would walk around the beach dressed like the Grim Reaper. Do you guys remember that?
No, I don't remember the reporter. I remember them shutting down all the skate parks in California.
Dumping sand into the skate parks.
Stuff that is just
and
ridiculous
it's just
in hindsight.
anything, and as Trump became the immediate bad guy for it, and as soon as he did, anything that he said, he was literally causing everyone to die. You want to kill grandma.
Because it's the ends justify the means.
That's
they
exactly
knew that
what it
about
was.
Donald Trump before the situation manifested itself. Should Donald Trump had been the person who was like, we need to be very cautious about this. We need to hunker down. Don't leave your home. Get in a full biohazard suit before you go anywhere. They would have been like, don't stop living your life. Maybe that's what he should have done. We need Donald Trump to be a master of reverse psychology.
Yeah.
Because in some ways he kind of happens to be. Like, he seems to be able to get people to react. Maybe not manage the reactions, but keep letting us know what you think. We'll keep reading some of your responses. Ryan, why don't you tell us what you think to this when we get back from a break here? The YouTube live chat poll, did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? Yes or no? We'll get Ryan's reaction when we come back and dip into a couple other stories in just a minute. Morning Fry Show. After this, don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is online at igotfloor.com. Flooring shopping is an exciting way to reinvigorate your home. And as soon as you've made that commitment, the tax return has come in and you got a little extra money and you're thinking to yourself, I think I'm going to invest this in replacing that old worn carpet in our home. When you walk into Michael's Flooring Outlet in any of their 3 locations across the bi-state, you can go to St. Charles County, West County, or Darting Prairie, and you start checking out the beautiful flooring that they have, especially carpet. I love carpet. It is something that I think makes a house a home and makes it comfortable. The Mohawk Smart Strand line, it's got superior performance that makes your investment just extra high quality. You talk to the people at Michael's Flooring Outlet, you kind of navigate, here are the different types of carpet that are available or the different padding that are available. They talk to you about your budget, and you're quickly going to understand how they have not sacrificed value for quality at Michael's Flooring Outlet. They are wonderful sponsors, longtime sponsors of 97.1 FM Talk, and they're going to be excited to see you. So mention the Annie Fry Show when you go, say hi to them, and get the process started. Very exciting to put in new flooring in your home, even your place of business as well. So residential and commercial, online at igotfloored.com.
All right, football fans, the NFL Draft is almost here, and the free Odyssey app brings you the latest coverage from the biggest sports radio stations across the country. Which players will help your team the most? Who will make a draft day trade? Will they be ready for Week 1? The local conversations about the team you love. All on the free Odyssey app. AUDACY. Download it today.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Okay, so you filed your taxes this year, but you know you have past IRS issues. And now the IRS letters are coming. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. Don't ignore those IRS letters. They're important and give you rights and deadlines to defend yourself. Waiting could cause you to lose those rights. Call the Lance Story Law Firm now and let us help you get ahead of the IRS and defend your rights while you still have time. The Lance Story Law Firm is located here in St. Louis, so take the first step and hire a tax resolution attorney. We've made it super easy to schedule your free consultation in person, or you can do a phone call and save travel time. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Story Law Firm. Call today at 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120. Or go visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PICKUP to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PICKUP. for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PICKUP for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Guys, you know summer is just around the corner. Get yourself in shape now. Let my friends at Victory Men's Health help you. Mark Cox here. You know Victory is offering semaglutide, approved by the FDA for overweight adults. It's a game changer. On average, people are losing up to 15% of their body weight. Be sure and visit my friends at Victory Men's Health in Wing Haven, their newest location in Sunset Hills. They're also in Town and Country and in O'Fallon, Illinois. Go online today. Tell them you heard Mark Cox talking about it. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you're not sure who to call for air conditioning services, contact the team at Air Comfort Service. With 55 years of experience and thousands of 5-star reviews, you can trust them with the comfort of your home. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen. Pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping. Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like me on the job.
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Working 9 to 5. What a way to make a living.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. Appreciate you spending some of your afternoon with us. Can you listen to this? This is Alina Habba, Trump's attorney, speaking on Fox News about the trial today.
But the leading candidate and nominee for the GOP can't respond. That is so unconstitutional. That is a dual system of justice, and there's no place for it.
You know, it's a great point because we do see Cohen and Daniels speaking out quite a bit, and that's exactly the substance of what President Trump was tweeting about in this, saying that it's outrageous that Cohen and Daniels can do countless TV interviews, post on social, and make money on bogus documentaries, he writes. And this is Avenatti. This is what he retweeted. It's pretty funny, don't you think, that the president's praising Michael Avenatti, who was Stormy Daniels' attorney, and it went to jail after that? I mean, what a world, Alina.
It is quite a world, but I'll tell you, people are coming out of the woodworks. I think it's very telling, to be honest, Martha. People are sick and tired of seeing it. Avenatti was there. He was at one point standing with Stormy and profiting from her. And now he's looking at this and going, this is actually a witch hunt. I think that's what the American people are doing at the moment. They're seeing it. They're flipping. They're taking independents and moving them to the Republican Party because they're sick and tired of seeing this injustice. And the judge admonishing the defendant, I've seen it time and time again. I've been admonished like that. It's by design. It's to make you appear to be inept. It's to make you appear to be stupid in front of a jury. And don't think that it's not intentional. You know, all the trolls, all the journalists, they'll put that out there. And I mean, a lot of people.
Alina Habba speaking right now, Trump attorney Alina Habba on Fox News covering this. It apparently, so there were 3 instances where I guess it's Alvin Bragg or the DA or whatever is asking for Trump to be held in contempt. And the idea was that he would be, if he was found guilty, he'd have to pay $1,000 per charge of being held in contempt, like $3,000. I mean, it'll be harder for him to come up with that now after he gave all of his other money to Letitia James and E. Jean Carroll. New York is going to squeeze every penny they can out of him. But the DA is asking for the judge to hold Trump in contempt and is threatening jail time for it. So I just want to stand. I mean, honestly, at this point, arrest him and put him in jail. That's like the nail in the coffin for him to win the next election, in my opinion. Our YouTube live chat poll for today is, did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency, yes or no? And we've been getting your reactions to all of this. And it's been interesting to read your comments and to see what a lot of y'all are suggesting is the case for how you feel about Donald Trump's presidency. And I wanted to get your thoughts on it, Ryan. What do you think, yes or no, if he did something that was a net failure?
Well, I'm a yes in this poll, and it's, to me, his greatest asset, and a lot of people don't like this about him, but to me it's his greatest asset, is his ability to go against the grain, to take it on the chin and say, we're going to do something different anyway and explain why and have people actually go along with it. And then it turns out great. I mean, we saw 4 years of that. The problem is that great asset, that one thing that really does set him apart, his ability to kind of rebel against the norm, he didn't do in 2020. So when, quote unquote, the science or the narrative at the time was saying one thing, he kind of went with it. And that would have been his opportunity to go against all of that. Maybe it wouldn't have turned out politically great for him, but we know that it didn't anyway. So I fault him for that. And I wish he would own up to that a little bit.
I think that Donald Trump's willingness to listen to the people who are around him during COVID is in direct opposition to what people say about Donald Trump, that he won't listen to anyone, that he's only interested in his own thoughts and opinions, and that nobody can talk to him. I mean, he actually showed during COVID, which is, again, going back to the time where we all thought, like, we don't know what to do here. You've got to make a decision, that he surrounded himself with people who were influencing the situation, the scenario, and he trusted them. And that was the time where we needed him not to, because they were the wrong people on the issue at the time. And potentially, the more we find out about Dr. Fauci's involvements in the Wuhan lab of virology or whatever it is, the more head scratching that goes on. Like, how was this even the case? And if you had a media that was interested in journalism and interested in that moment in time, researching and exposing truth, and when you expose truth, it helps people. When you expose truth, it hurts people. But the idea that you would want to invest in what the truth actually is supposed to be the epitome of journalism, to get truth out there and make sure that what that First Amendment protects, which is the free press, that they are out there free of influence of the government that is, has its authority very close to the potential to try to take over for the people, when in our country, the people and the Constitution is what reigns supreme, which is what makes us a democratic republic. The idea that they have a very agenda-driven purpose inside the media, and we didn't have actual journalism taking place, allows those things to happen. And it hurt the country. It hurt the American people. So I haven't looked yet what the results are. I'm trying to wait on it. But I am going to be interested to know, of this more Trump-leaning audience, I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong, does that mean that they are in a position to criticize Donald Trump? Yesterday's poll, I remind you that yesterday we asked the poll question, has President Joe Biden done anything that you consider to be a net good in his presidency? And 89% of you said no. One of the stories I saw on Axios, which I find interesting, and I don't really think it'll come as a surprise to many, but I do think it's worth highlighting. Axios reports America's skilled trades, from plumbing to welding to construction, need more workers as boomers retire and Gen Zers are stepping up to fill the gaps. I think that this is a good development, and I'm excited to hear it. According to Axios, the big picture is that enrollment in vocational programs and applications for trade jobs are taking up as younger people look to start careers without the sky-high cost of a 4-year college degree. The co-founder of the National Center for Craftsmanship, Rob Summerfield, said, "We're finally seeing a more than subtle change within our society. More and more students and their parents see alternatives." What really fortified this idea that trade workers were, like, if you're a blue-collar worker, if you're somebody who's out there working with your hands and not behind a desk, I just don't see that as inferior. And I know that was something that people who worked in the trades, that the idea that everybody's supposed to go to college and you get a white-collar job and everything, that there was some sort of delineation that was made between those two people. But there is no part of cultural influence on my perspective of those jobs as lesser in any way, shape, or form. And I know a lot of people who do these jobs, and they get paid well.
Yeah, blue-collar jobs, there's a lot of money to be made there because you're doing things. I think it was Mike Rowe that said this. He goes, "We never stop to consider that we press a lever and the poo goes away and we don't know where it goes, but it goes away, and that is revolutionary to culture. And there's somebody that makes sure that's what happens." And so
those are necessary people.
They're hugely necessary. As a matter of fact, they're probably maybe a little more necessary than some of these other jobs that are out there.
Very much so. Enrollment in vocational programs jumped 16% last year, according to National Student Clearinghouse. The median age of workers in a number of trades like carpentry and HVAC maintenance is falling from the mid-40s to the early 40s or even the high 30s. I think that that's a really good thing to hear as well. And you get to kind of be your own boss in some way, shape, or form as a tradesman a little bit more than you might if you are Mr. White Collar sitting in a cubicle, like really living the dream.
Yeah. But I think the other side of it is too. There's a sense of accomplishment that, and I guess this is a white collar job, and I do get it a sense of accomplishment. But there's something to show for my work at the end of the day. It's like, hey, we put together this great show. But I remember when I was cutting grass, to be able to look back at, and you go to a place and the yard's a mess and there's like weeds and tall grass and clumps and you can barely see the sidewalk, and you go there and you get the weed eaters out and you start trimming and then you mow and then you edge and then you come away and it looks like a magazine cover. There is a sense of accomplishment that comes along with that. Whenever I worked as a mechanic, to be able to take somebody's car that wasn't working right and give them back a vehicle that does, there's a sense of joy and accomplishment that comes with that, because you might have just changed that person's life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's just because we talk about it enough that I actually have never had more respect for people in those industries than I do now. And not just like high trades, but I mean just people who are out getting jobs done that I don't do. And I'm going, man, I've never done that job. I saw a guy sweeping the road the other day. I went down to Rallies, and there was a guy just in the parking lot cleaning up trash.
Cleaning up the trash.
And I'm like,
yep.
Dude, good job. I think I might have tipped him.
We need you.
Yeah, but I just have respect for those jobs.
Yeah.
Because people weren't doing them for so long.
Have you ever driven over a freshly paved piece of roadway? There are so many.
Have you seen the roads?
Yeah.
Where are you, Texas?
I've traveled places, and they freshly paved these roads. But when you drive over that, there's a whole group of people in different areas that made that happen, from laborers on up to operators, on up to truck drivers and to engineers. They came together and they made something that is necessary for society. And it is. It's just, we need people to do these jobs, and these jobs help make the country go. They're incredibly honorable positions. I never really understood the look down the nose at trades.
I think it's generational. I think that I don't feel like millennials have carried that on, and clearly Gen Zers are saying, I think we'll do that. But at the same time, I don't think you can discount the waning attractive nature of university and college. Like, you go pay for this, you get what out of it?
Right.
I mean, you're not going to go do an apprenticeship and be unemployed after that.
Right.
Unless it is not your calling.
Well, and you're going to get paid for that apprenticeship
yes,
too.
without potentially taking out any debt. I mean, financially, it's like, duh. To me, I'm thinking, if you want to be a businessman, go do the find something you want to do, go do the apprenticeship, learn how to do it really well, take some business classes on the side on your way there. You don't even need to have a degree in order to do it. I mean, the idea of a diploma to me shows that you're willing to complete something, but in a lot of cases, what a lot of universities are selling, I don't really want you to go through all that muck anyway. I do have a college degree. I'm grateful that I have a college degree, and it helped guide me into where I am right now. Do I need a college degree to do what I'm doing? No. I needed to be at the right place at the right time. I did an internship in conjunction with the completion of my mass communications degree. I went to SIUE, and I worked at a sports talk radio station. You might have heard of it. I worked at KFNS, and I worked with Frank Cusimano, and I learned so much more about the real world application of media through that internship than I got in my studies. I think I had a well-rounded education. I do value it. But if I would have just gone 2 or 3 years earlier and started that internship there and done that internship, I could have gone on the same path and maybe been making money earlier and not have had to, the investment that I'm grateful that my parents helped me get through college in order to complete that. I don't need it. I don't, it's not, it is valuable to me. I don't consider it to be a waste, but there are instances where I would. If you're going to be an educator, I think you can't just know the subject, you need to know how to educate.
Yeah.
You need to know how to implement a subject matter in a classroom, and you're going to need to know standards, and you're going to need to know how to apply those standards. Of course, if you're in a medical profession, please go to school. Lots of good school, extra school. But there are other things that people do. And if you're like, well, finish high school, guess I go to college, do that, and then you get out. I know so many people who went to college because they were 18 and it was the next thing on the list. So they did their 3 years, their 4 years, their 5 years, maybe their 6 years because they just super weren't motivated. And then they got out and then they did real estate or something that they didn't really need that time spent in college, because there's just kind of you can be kind of listless as you go through college. Like, what am I doing? What am I studying? I don't even really know what I want to do. That's why people talk about the gap year. I think it's an interesting concept to like kind of get your footing and find out what you love, or just go do an apprenticeship. That's a great idea. I think that's good news. Let's get the results of the YouTube live chat poll when we come back here. Did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his first term as the president of the United States? Yes or no? Vote by visiting us at the Annie Fry YouTube channel in today's live broadcast going on right now. You go in the live chat portion of today's live broadcast. You'll see that the poll is right there in the live chat. Tell us yes or no. And if you want to leave a comment, you can. You don't have to. We will love reading them if you do. We'll get you those results and wrap up the show when we come back. Don't go away.
The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
You're just a step on the boss man's ladder, but you got dreams he'll never take away. You're in the same boat with a lot of your friends, waiting for the day your ship will come in and the tide's gonna turn and it's all gonna roll your way. Working nights.
Stewart's American Mortgage is a really, really smart phone call or text message if you're shopping for a house, looking to find your new home, and you want to get the best mortgage deal that you can, of course. Huge commitment, probably 30 years, maybe 20, 10, 15, whatever it might be. But whatever you make, whatever deal you make, whatever interest rates you get, you're kind of committing to that, unless you want to go in to do a refinance, which can sometimes be not cost effective. Take everything you think you know about mortgages and refinances and set it aside and contact Stewie. 314-324-4440. For your initial mortgage, get the bagel loan and pay zero in closing costs that you're going to pay with other lenders. He's the only one who's got it. The bagel loan is at Stewart's American Mortgage only. 314-324-4440. For a refinance, I've done it twice with Stewie. You can refinance, secure yourself a lower rate if you got your mortgage in the last year and a half or so. Knock that rate down to what it is right now and don't pay anything to do it. It's a no-brainer. 314-324-4440. You can Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
This time of year again, where we all should be, we should all be calling our companies and making sure our air conditioners are in running order, and do the best you can to make sure that they don't break down this summer. It's only $89 if you call us to have us do it. But let's just say that you've had that done and a company says you need a new system. Sucks, but without a question, you get another opinion, get another price. I can promise you, without a question, if you call me for a second opinion based on what my customers say for the second opinion, you'll be happy you did. Call me. It's Bart Inman. One easy number, Missouri and Illinois. 314-293-2600. Missouri and Illinois, or on the internet, bartinman.com. Now that's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
What better way to support your nutrition than with the multivitamin that was created right here in St. Louis? Neovitin Original Multivitamin was created by St. Louis physician Dr. Abicki to support his own nutrition when he needed it most. Now, Neovitin Original Multivitamin is formulated with sensible doses of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and Dr. Abicki's proprietary blend to give you nutritional support you won't find anywhere else. Neovitin is now conveniently available through our no-obligation monthly subscription. Cancel or pause at any time, and shipping is free. Support your nutrition with a subscription to Neovitin at neovitin.com today.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. Most corporate credit cards offer points as incentives, but those points amount to less than their worth in real cash value. Ramp's corporate cards offer you cash back, real money in your pocket. Plus, you control who spends what with each vendor, and Ramp software collects and verifies receipts automatically, which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. And now, get $250 when you join Ramp. Just go to ramp.com/free. Ramp.com/free. RAMP.com/free.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members of FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AA MCO.
More good news for Frederick Roofing, voted best roofing company by the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Frederick Roofing.
314-645-2000.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
We did the inverse of this question yesterday on President Biden. Today, it's did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? Yes or no? And of course, we want to know what you have to say about this. So not only should you leave a comment, but we have been reading comments, and it is 2:49 right now. We'll give the results of this poll in just a minute. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon getting set to go. It's a sad day in St. Louis, a sad day in Cardinal Nation across the planet. The passing of Whitey Herzog. We're going to take a look back. Tom Ackerman's going to join us from the very start of the show coming up.
There it stands in the corner with the barrel so straight. I look out the window and over the gate. The big fat rabbits are jumping in the grass. Wait till they hear my old shotgun blast.
This
Shotgun
is the
boogie.
Annie Fry Show.
I done
Follow
saw
Annie
your
on
track.
Twitter at Annie Fry Show.
Look out, Mr. Rabbit, when I cock my hammer back. Well, over on the ridge is a scaly bark.
You know, they don't write songs like this anymore.
No, they don't.
The internet might.
I just like any song about animals and obesity.
Obesity?
Yeah, this one really kind of runs in both lanes. So
What?
Yeah, I
big
don't.
fat squirrels and big fats, whatever. That's all I heard.
We don't shoot the skinny squirrels.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
okay.
hunting for food.
Yeah.
It's not really about obesity.
You want more food, not less food.
Yeah. I completely agree. Yeah, I'm on the same page as you guys for sure.
Ryan, do you even know what book we're in?
Whatever you guys are talking about, I agree.
I agree.
Love that song though, and the theme of it.
Shooting animals.
Shooting animals. Yeah, that's
Feeding your family.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we get to the results of today's poll, did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency, yes or no? We were pretty close to 300 votes on this one, and it's interesting to see an audience that I think would be criticized for being just kind of a cultish or carrying the water for Donald Trump and so on and so forth, how you all are reacting to this poll. So stick around. The results we're going to have here in about 5 minutes. But I wanted to do this story real quick. I love reading things like this and getting your take on it. 7 everyday items that are worth breaking frugality for. So you got frugal habits and you like to save money. Sometimes you get what you pay for. And these are some items where they say it's okay to invest. The first one is a home office chair. Do you guys have a home office?
Yes.
Yes.
You have a
I
gaming
call it the man
room,
cave.
but it's like where you game for the most part,
Yes.
right? Do you have a nice chair?
Yes.
Do you love your chair?
I do. My wife got it for me. It's a Captain America leather office chair.
What's its name?
I don't. My chair. I don't name my chairs.
My chair.
I don't
my
name
chair.
my cars either.
I just was gonna ride this wave until it fizzled out.
my
and it was
chair.
right about there.
What's its name, Brad? Smart
Just
guy.
just
love it. Why don't you
imagine-
marry it?
Just imagine a case where he told me what the name of the chair was.
Yeah, it'd be like, wow, you really knew what question to ask
It is
there.
no weirder to name your beloved office chair than to name your car.
I don't do that either.
Well, neither do I. But I'm just telling you that people do name their cars, and they are serious about naming their cars. So I don't if you're going to name inanimate objects that you love, why not name your chair that you love?
Just name everything.
Do you have an office, home office?
I do, but the chair that I have came from like somebody's old office that they closed during COVID, so I wouldn't say it's a nice chair.
I have my studio at home that we developed over COVID, and this one kind of made me laugh because I struggled to find a chair because I bought during it. The studio went in multiple iterations over the course of COVID, but I broadcasted from home for almost 2 years. And I bought myself a standing desk because I wanted to be able to do some of the show while standing. Why? Because I was pregnant and it was hard to sit in a crap chair while I was pregnant. So I wanted to be able to stand. So then I ended up getting a drafting chair, I think is what it's called, the taller ones. We're sitting in them right now from work, but it has a really short seat. And I was pregnant, so I was just constantly sliding down the chair. I had to put a box in front of me and the whole ordeal. So I went and Black Friday bought myself a nice new chair off of Amazon, and it's still in the box. I haven't opened it. So I don't know what it's like, but I do have what I think to be a nice chair in a box. So I invested in it, but I don't know if it was a good investment because I haven't had to sit in it. But I've been here. The next one is a coffee machine. Do you guys have a coffee machine that you use and know and love?
Yes.
Is it one that you spend? Is it you can get like a $15 Mr. Coffee? If
No,
you want.
it's more expensive than that, but it does both the single cup and the pot, and that it's a Hamilton Beach, and it's nice, but it's not like $1,500 or anything like that.
Beach.
Mine's a pontoon beach.
Mine is at Scooters.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, today I got an iced coffee instead of a hot coffee.
So did I.
It was a transitionary day.
Mhm.
And when I ordered it, they go, "Ooh, big change." And I thought, that's kind of embarrassing. I'm at the drive-thru. I'm like, I'm going to change it up a little bit. And then I just did the same order, but iced. And they mocked me. And I deserved it. It's fine. It's delicious, though. Coffee machine for me is, we don't make coffee at home every day. So I can't say here or there. But if I valued it at home more, I think that might be different. A computer and mobile phone. I agree with this. I have a MacBook Pro and a very nice MacBook Pro, and it does everything I need, and I can rely on it. And same thing with my phone. I have a Galaxy Ultra. I don't remember what the number is, but whatever it was is the nicest one that they had at the time. And I pay for it up front, and I ride that until the thing doesn't work anymore. So I might have it for 3 years or so.
I don't get the nicest phone. I do try to get a good computer because they last.
Mhm.
And my computer right now is from 2012, and at the time it was a really good one, but it is at kind of the end of its life, so I'm looking for a new one.
Yeah, I both of my computers are super nice and super valuable. So
a good investment.
But I don't do that with my phone. I usually get the newest base model that I can get.
This is, in my opinion, very sexist of me based on you being men and you're not constantly looking at your phone as your camera.
Right.
Women do that.
Oh.
Moms do that. And so when I invest, I'm investing in the camera. The next one is running shoes. 100% agree about this. Good shoes, good footwear. Mattresses. My favorite, I have the best mattress on the planet. And when I go out of town, when I come home and crawl into my bed, I have palpable joy to be back in my bed with this fantastic mattress that I got from Kloss Furniture in Edwardsville. It's wonderful. And the last two here are kitchen tools and skincare products. Skincare products, if you're buying skincare products for cheap, you are getting cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You're investing in water. Anything to say about those before I give the results?
My wife just got a bunch of stuff in Japan, and she keeps bragging to me about how great her skincare products
Always
are.
go the cheap route on skincare.
No, don't worth it. It's worth the investment. Did President Trump do anything that was a net failure in his presidency? 70% of you said yes, out of 277 votes. Thank you for participating today. We've evened things out in our polls here on Monday and Tuesday. We're going to hear from Mark Reardon coming up next. Don't go away.
1 in 4 Americans have a disability. I'm one of them. I'm also a working mom who cares deeply about making sure every child with a disability thrives by getting their access needs met. We've got a trusted ally by our side. Easter Seals provides children and families the foundation for lifelong success through early learning programs, skills training, and prep for college and career. That's my Easter Seals. Make it yours. Join us at easterseals.com.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us too in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
AirComfortService.com, making the indoor air quality in your home livable, breathable, enjoyable, comfortable. Make sure that if you are somebody who suffers from allergies, that you're not suffering from the air inside your home. As spring is here and trees are budding, you've got the flower blooms. They're beautiful, but if you're somebody who suffers with allergy, you see them, you're like, ugh, gross. You don't want that in your home. Well, when you could call Air Comfort Service, you reach out to them and they can give you a free estimate on a whole home air purifier that will help relieve or eliminate those allergy symptoms that you suffer from. This includes pet dander or bacteria and viruses that you might have floating around in your house. I got 4 kids. It's just like a petri dish from time to time. Other odors as well that you might be dealing with inside your house. Have Air Comfort Service give you that free estimate and enjoy the great service that comes with being an Air Comfort Service customer. Call them at 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. AirComfortService.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
If you've been hurt on the job, you need the best. Onder Law. Hurt on the job? Call Onder Law today for a free review at 314 or 618